The Kansas City Chiefs today, coordinators and Chris Jones. It is a Thursday, regular, typical Thursday for the Chiefs. So Dave Tobe, Steve Spagnuolo, Matt Nagy, and Chris Jones will be at the podium. We will then play some sports or leisure today in the 1 o'clock hour.
Leisure.
Sports, and it is presented by Johnny's Taverns. We'll do that throughout the show today over the next 4 hours, 913-912-4810 to join us to be a part of the show. 913-912-4810 is a text line to join us today. Just love that Trucker Tim checking in right away. In Wyoming.
Nice.
So yesterday during the day he was in
Go Cowboys.
Phoenix, he was in L.A., and now he's in Wyoming. In Utah this morning, now in Wyoming. Love it.
That's awesome.
Great,
good for Trucker Tim.
Dude.
Trucker Tim?
Trucker Tim, baby.
Trucker Tim, you're a badass.
He is.
I'm not going to lie. That has to be pretty enjoyable, too, getting to see every single state. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm going to need to spend a little more time there. I can't go to Utah and Wyoming one day. I'm going to Canyonlands in Utah, okay?
Okay.
And then in Wyoming.
You're going to Jackson Hole where you have
I'm going to Jackson Hole.
Your second home in Jackson Hole?
Third home.
Oh, okay. I should have. If you've got a home in Jackson Hole, it's probably not your first or second.
It's down there. It's down there a little bit.
How many houses do you have? What's the average number of houses a person owns if they own a house in Jackson Hole? Is that like 3 or 4?
What's the over-under? 4.5? What's it set at?
I think it's 3.5. Yeah. I think the over-under is 3.5 of homes that you own if you have a home in Jackson Hole.
Trucker Tim, let me know how Wyoming is. I've never been there, so let me know. Give me a little update.
I can tell you. I spent 2 years of my life for 3 months there. I'll tell you how Wyoming
Pretty similar.
is. Yeah. How long were you in Wyoming?
I wasn't. I was at Scottsbluff, Nebraska, so he might pass through that. It's 30 minutes from the border of Wyoming. But
I took I-90 west and east through South Dakota. That's how I went, because I was on the northeast part of Wyoming in Gillette.
I know that,
which is right by Casper.
Yep.
So it's about an hour and a half northeast of Casper. Wyoming is Gillette. For 3 months lived there, but it took about 2 years of my life away.
I just want to throw on some Wranglers, get my cowboy boots on, and sleep under the stars.
You'd fit right
That's all
in.
I want.
You'd fit right in. I am mad at myself that I didn't drive like 25, 30 minutes north to just drive into Montana and then drive back down.
Yeah,
like I could have done it
at Montana,
could have done it at any point. At any point I was there, like, you know what, let me just take that trip up north real quick. Just get on the highway real quick just to drive into Montana, turn around, come on back down.
You're not a wanderer, Jason.
Gillette. I should be, because then I would be able to. I don't know the next time I'm going to go to Montana. I don't know the next time I'm ever going to go to Wyoming. Again, I don't know unless I go to Jackson Hole. It's the only reason. I don't need to go to. I've seen it. I've seen almost all of Wyoming. All right, I was following a football team around Wyoming. The shortest road trip.
Did you not go to Yellowstone?
I did not. No, I didn't go to Yellowstone. Maybe we'll go to Yellowstone, but again, I'd have to be in Wyoming to do that, and I don't know that I want to do that. The shortest road trip for this team. So I worked at the radio, the sports radio station there, and I did play-by-play for the local high school team, football. The shortest road trip, Sterling, on Friday night football games, the shortest was 2 hours. So any road game that high school football team played, you were traveling 2 hours to. There were multiple games where we went and stayed the night because we had to drive the whole day Friday to get there, and then did the game and stayed the night, and then drove back all day Saturday to get home for a high school football game in Wyoming.
Brutal.
Awful.
I looked this up, by the way. Guess how many people live in Wyoming?
About 500,000.
Yeah, it's like Kansas City.
Yeah,
but if
less than Kansas City.
But if Kansas City was
the most populated city is 50,000.
Wow.
Yeah.
So even Wyoming people don't want to live in
Cheyenne?
Wyoming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Laramie's where Wyoming University is.
I've
That's Laramie Tunsil, actually.
Yes, Laramie Tunsil.
Laramie Tunsil.
It was actually named after Laramie Tunsil.
That's like the only fun you could have
that's right.
on a weekend at
It's actually,
Scottsbluff.
Yeah, actually named after Laramie Tunsil.
So people might be saying right now, us
cares?
talking about Wyoming is their nightmare. And I challenge you, last night, that was my nightmare. I went into that series against the Detroit Tigers.
Yeah.
And I said,
win one.
Win one.
Win one. Just win one. Don't. It would be great if you could take the series, right? Sweep the series would be amazing, but just take one.
I have low expectations, Jason. I said just win one. Very low expectations over here. Because then I can be pleasantly surprised.
There you go. That's the way to go about it. That's just smart life strategy.
Oh, yeah.
Right? You got life figured out.
Yes. Just low expectations, and if good things happen, wow, I'm shocked.
And you're getting married, so go into that the same way.
I'll make sure to tell her that.
Yeah. Well, she already does that.
Yeah, she's on that side there. Yeah, she's on. Yeah.
She's already there.
Yeah.
Dude, you and I totally agree. It's not a worst nightmare for them to get swept like your worst nightmare in your entire life.
No, this is my worst nightmare of my entire life.
This is my nightmare. This is my nightmare.
This is it. I'm terrified. I'm petrified. I am scared. The Royals are going quiet into that good night. Wake up.
Yeah.
Their offense is in a coma right now. I'm again, this is my worst nightmare, sports-wise, I should say. Royals-wise, I guess, right now.
I got a couple of other worst nightmares in the sports-wise, but Royals-wise,
sports-wise. As of the past 2 weeks, this is my worst nightmare.
Wow, we are really getting into this. We are adding a lot of qualifiers for your worst nightmare.
Well, it's like baseball stats. It's like he's all these. He's the only guy to have done this. Well, he's only batting like 235. Right. Well, he's the only guy, though.
That's a good point.
He's the only guy.
In a leap year. It was the worst-case scenario, obviously, for the Royals. Well, I would say the worst-case scenario head-to-head was getting swept. Worst-case scenario would have been getting swept while Minnesota swept the Guardians and Baltimore was winning against San Francisco. That would be the worst-case scenario. Luckily for the Royals, and Matt Quattrero said it last night, and look, it's not ideal to continue to have a lead in the wild card with 9 games remaining because other teams are losing. That's not ideal, but it is the reality of a pennant chase. It's the reality of a playoff spot. It's the reality of trying to make the postseason, is that when you have earned a lead, when you have played good enough baseball to give yourself wiggle room and margin for error, when that error happens, you've given yourself a buffer. And that's what the Royals have done. They have to turn around and start playing better baseball or they will miss the playoffs. They have 9 games remaining. The Tigers have 9 games remaining. The Royals have a 3-game lead. I know it's technically 2, but they have the tiebreaker. The Tigers have to be 3 games better than the Royals in the final 9 games. Simply do the math. If the Royals go 4-5, then the Tigers need to go 7-2.
Well, the Royals 4-5 would be, at this point for the Royals, good because they are 7-13 in their last 20 games.
Yeah, and if the
7-13,
if they go 3-6, the Tigers can go 6-3. So, can the Royals win 3 more games the rest of the way? They've got 3 against San Francisco, 3 against Washington. Can you win the series against the Nationals and take 1 against San Francisco? That's 3. Can you take 1 against Atlanta? That's 4. Makes you 4-5. Which means that the Tigers have to be 7-2 against Baltimore, Tampa Bay. They've got 3 against the White Sox. So there's 3.
You do not want to get down to that final series because with it still in play.
You don't want to get down to the final series with a 1-game lead or tied.
Yeah.
Because you do have the tiebreaker, and you're playing Atlanta, and the Tigers are playing the White Sox. Now, it's not just the Tigers that are chasing the Royals. It's also the Twins. They would have to finish behind both the Twins and the Tigers to miss the playoffs. So it's not just Detroit, it's Minnesota as well. And they have the tiebreaker over Minnesota. They have a 2.5-game lead on the Twins. 1.5-game lead on the Twins with the tiebreaker, which is 2.5. Twins play the Guardians today. They could be 2 games up. It could be Minnesota and Detroit tied for that 3rd wild card spot, and the Royals having a 2-game lead over both. They would need, again, if the Royals go 3-6 in these final 9 games, they would need both the Twins and the Tigers to go 6-3. If they win 4 games, they would need both the Twins and the Tigers to go 7-2 in these final 9 games. It's not just the Tigers chasing them. They aren't the 3rd wild card spot. Detroit's right behind them, and they've got a 2-game deficit.
I get it.
They need both the Twins, but it doesn't mean it won't happen.
Yeah, that's my point. Is the way the Royals are playing right now, I'm scared. The way the Royals have played the last 20 games,
I agree.
These losing streaks have piled up.
I agree. And it's like, well, they're playing San Francisco now, which San Francisco today could complete the sweep of the Orioles.
Yeah.
The Giants have won the last 2 nights against the Orioles, and they beat them pretty bad. And they've got an afternoon game today. So they've got 1 game left, and then they got the Royals on Friday, Saturday, Sunday. They got a couple of lesser-thans, the Giants, pitching on Friday and Saturday.
Yeah, Mason Black and Landon Rope, who I've never heard of actually either of those guys, and I love baseball.
Black Rope.
Mason Black has
like licorice. They got black licorice going Friday and Saturday, and that is not good. Nobody likes that.
7 ERA on Friday for that starter. But then, of course, Blake Snell is Sunday.
That's why Friday and Saturday become so important, just as Monday and Tuesday became important. Now it's Blake Snell versus Seth Lugo. It's not Skubal versus Alec Marsh. So hopefully Seth Lugo looks more like he did the previous few starts and not what he looked like against the Tigers on Monday night. But they have Seth Lugo. You've got Waka and Singer against a couple of also-rans for the Giants. The Giants' better pitchers have pitched in this series against the Orioles, and they've got, I believe, Webb going today against the Orioles. So they won't see him, but they will see Blake Snell against Seth Lugo on Sunday. But you've got Waka, who has been awesome for this team, and you got Brady Singer, who has been hit or miss. And you're hoping that maybe on Saturday he can be hit. The final 3 games.
Well, I hope he misses the bats, though.
It's a good point. Hit and miss.
Yeah.
He's a hit because he misses bats. There you go. Friday and Saturday are crucial. You win 2 of those games. You win Friday and Saturday. Essentially, I would think you'd need 2 more wins the rest of the year in your final 7 games. Because, again, that would mean that if you go, at worst, if you got 2 more wins after Friday and Saturday, you would be 4-5 in these 9 games, and that would mean both Detroit and Minnesota would have to go 7-2 for you to miss the playoffs. Minnesota has Boston, Miami, and Baltimore. They've got 3 at Boston, and they play 3 against Miami at home and 3 against Baltimore at home. Baltimore and Minnesota sort of beating each other. By the way, Baltimore plays Detroit and Minnesota both in these final 10 games for them. After today for San Francisco and Baltimore, they play Detroit for 3, they go to New York for 3, and they go to Minnesota for 3. So the Royals could also catch Baltimore. They're 2 games back. 2.5 games could be 2 games after today.
Sure. I guess part of my main concern...
But Baltimore has the tiebreaker over them as well. Sorry.
Part of my main concern here is the offense has looked anemic.
Yeah.
Bobby Witt Jr., grand slam aside, I mean, it's tough to say, well, put the grand slam aside here because that was such a massive at-bat.
It's the last sort of positive feeling in this series.
I mean, he's not done a lot recently. And that's a little bit of a hyperbole here, but compared to what he had been doing, when he was at the high water mark of batting, 350, down to 331 now. The OPS that was once over 1,000, now there's a 9 in front of it. Even the double he hit last night, it was a lucky double. That should have been out. Shortstop should have got the ball. That was just a bloop that fell in between 3 guys because the Detroit Tigers did not communicate. Striking out more. Defensively, making a couple of...
Yeah.
Again, the one play that I didn't know, was it graded as an error last night? It was.
Yeah.
Tough hop, I get all that stuff, but he looks like he's almost rookie shortstop Bobby Witt Jr. versus...
That was a difficult play, man.
I get it, but he's made those plays all year long.
I know. And I think it's a little bit of you're a product of your own success, is that he's made those plays, so when he doesn't,
agreed.
It's like, what the hell happened? Why didn't he make
agreed.
that play? I'm not saying that you, I'm just saying in general.
But past 2 nights?
Yeah.
Couple errors?
Yeah, Tuesday with the...
Or was it Tuesday?
Tuesday was the one-timer that was the hot shot back that touched the glove of Urseg, and then it was sort of a one-time, which also had different spin once it touched the glove of Urseg, had a little different spin. That would have been an amazing play to make. Would have been awesome if he made it. But I don't know that they win even if he makes that play.
I'm not saying win. I'm just saying in general, Bobby Witt Jr. has been a little bit in a slump.
Yeah. The two plays that were the difference in the series to me was Tuesday night's play in center field by the Tiger center fielder. I can't remember his name right now. Tracking down, was it Renfro's hit maybe?
The one incident that Renfro just was
that would
torched.
have been,
2 runs were scoring on that
play. And then last night with, lead off. You're down 3 against Skubal. Skuball's getting his pitch count up there. And Tommy Pham's up. And Bobby Witt and Salvi are on deck.
Yeah.
And that thing was 2 feet away from a home run, 1 foot away from hitting off the fence. And the Royals would have had a run in Isbell. It would have been 4-2. Tommy Pham at second or third with Bobby and then Salvi up. With Skubal up at 90 pitches at that point.
Yeah.
Detroit made 2 really good defensive plays. They're playing awesome baseball right now. I'm glad that in these 9 games remaining for the Royals, Sterling, that they don't play Detroit.
Yeah.
I'm glad they do not play the Tigers. Thankfully, they don't have another series against them. And the Tigers have to play Baltimore for 3. But I'm going to go ahead and give the Tigers 3 wins at the end of the year against the White Sox.
Yeah. I mean, you
So,
always have to.
If we're talking about the Tigers need to go 7-2, if the Royals simply go 4-5, then that means they need to find a way to win 4 games against Baltimore and Tampa.
Yeah.
Can you take 2 of 3 from Baltimore, 2 of 3 from Tampa, or do you sweep one of those series?
I guess, again, for me, if Yuli Gurriel has been your best hitter, that's not ideal.
Rough.
That's not ideal. I do want to give a quick shout out to Daniel Lynch. Lynch came in after Marsh, kept the Royals in it, 3 in the third inning, 4 strikeouts. I mean, Daniel Lynch looked good. So I do at least want to give a shout out to Daniel for finding a way to keep the Royals in it in this game after Marsh was getting shelled.
He has been a revelation so far coming out of the bullpen since he's been back. He's been a real weapon for the Royals. And I think what we've seen over the last few weeks, while they have not won enough baseball games, certainly, what we've seen over the last few weeks is that Chris Bubich has turned into a weapon. Daniel Lynch has turned into a long relief guy who can go out there and give you 3 innings of really good baseball. So if you have not pitched Daniel Lynch and you get into extra innings, he's a guy that you can throw out there and go, oh God, we're 1 inning away from having to put our right fielder in at pitching. Or we're 1 inning away from having to throw Chris Stratton, even though, IL, but whatever. For an example. Or, Cruz,
Sure.
Zerpa, whatever. Daniel Lynch going out there and giving you solid innings and looking good has been a revelation for this team. And Urseg and Bubich in the back end have been great. Urseg was tired. He was. I get why Q left him in the game, because I'll take my chances with a tired Urseg over going to somebody else behind him. It didn't work out. He stole, an inning with Reagans on Tuesday. And Reagans went out there and proved his decision right. We've criticized Quatrero for doing that in the past. This time it worked. He got an extra inning, and Reagans did his job, which is part of it. Sometimes the guy has to go out there and just simply do their job. The unfortunate part is it does feel like this team is pressing, because how many freaking double plays in the last 2 nights? I mean, that has been part of the incredible frustration in watching the last 2 nights.
I'm convinced they're doing it on purpose. Like, they're hitting fungo at this point. Like, I'm just convinced that, like...
You're convinced they're doing it on purpose?
I'm being facetious, of course, but, like, at some point, you're like, dude, like, you're allowed to do anything else. No, but, like, I'm like, it's like they're hitting fungo. Like,
which one's Shoeless Joe?
Yeah.
Huh?
Like,
who's Buck?
I'm just like, dog, you don't have to hit a weak ground ball right at the shortstop. You don't have... They're not even moving.
Dude, especially when they go out, Fermin. Dude, he brings in MJ Melendez. They go and get a different pitcher. He then brings in Fermin, so you've lost MJ Melendez. Fermin's in there against a lefty, and immediately double play. Just crushes you. The game was over at that point. It was absolutely over. The second Fermin made contact with that ball and hit that slow roller for a double play, the game was over.
Yeah.
And I loved when they panned over and took the shot of MJ Melendez on the bench, just sort of looking down, kind of rubbing his, forehead a little bit. Yeah, I can understand the frustration. I'm going in there, then they bring in a lefty, and I get taken out of the game. I get the in the game, out of the game, not available because I didn't actually appear in the game. But 2 hitters for a double play. And I'm not saying it was all on Quatrero. Guys have to come through. Now, do I think he's a little too married to the platoons, the splits? Yeah, I've talked about that over the course of the season. But in that situation, For me, he needs to find a way to come through.
Oh yeah, I blame Fermin. I don't blame MJ.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't blame Cotrero for that because
MQ.
Huh?
You don't blame MQ.
MQ,
for
MJ,
using MJ
or
for not
or
using
Q.
MJ
Because
for using
let me see
FF.
if I can
squared.
find this really quickly because MJ against lefties is batting a solid 174, getting on base at a 186 and slugging 232.
Yeah, he hasn't been good against lefties.
So
this year.
I understand the.
I do too. I understand the move.
But that's on Fermin. I mean,
absolutely.
That's what it comes down to is Freddie cannot do that.
You swing at a pitch like that and you make soft contact, you're trying to do too much. You're trying to be the guy that hits the 5-run home run. And it's not going to happen.
It's funny because he's 40, but Yuli's up next, who's been the best hitter right now for the Royals for the past, I don't know, week.
The frustrating part is, like, for the most part in this, series, the bottom of the lineup did a pretty good job of turning it over and getting it back to the top.
Yeah.
It's just the top wasn't really doing their job.
Paul DeJong, by the way, is also back to being.
He's been rough.
Yeah, White Sox, Paul DeJong.
White Sox, yeah, right. Maybe he should switch his socks. Try that one. Get something going again,
Blue Sox.
Well, you called them the Black Sox, so we're not throwing games on purpose here. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. I want to talk a little bit about the Chiefs. We'll also look at NFL offenses. We've talked about why the NFL offense, or people have talked about the NFL offenses and how these big plays are going away, and it's too deep, and the different defenses, less explosive offenses. I looked at something different this morning, tweeted about it, but looked at something different this morning. Don't look at the tweet, Sterling
I will not.
or Dylan, because I want to quiz you guys. All right, little quiz coming up.
Oh,
for
teacher, come on.
Pop quiz.
A pop quiz, Dylan? Are you serious? I thought I was over that 10 years ago.
Pop quiz, Sterling. Shoot the hostage.
Wow, longer than 10 years ago.
All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you, Sterling Holmes, Dylan Michaels, heading up until 2 o'clock. We'll talk with Kent Swanson, KC Sports Network, KC Laboratory Podcast right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB at 11 o'clock, 11:45. We will hear from Dave Tobe, Steve Spagnuolo, Matt Nagy, and Chris Jones. 913-912-4810 is the text line. Text says this is turning into the year the Chiefs backed into the playoffs when like 5 things happened in our favor on the last Sunday. If the Tigers go 6-3, the Twins smoke some.
Smoke some what there?
George Brett hires Serrano to kill a chicken, and Joe Boo gets a refill. We may have a shot. I read most of it, but I skimmed it.
Yeah, that's great. That is still the
Look,
all-time.
if the Tigers go 6-3 and the Twins smoke crack, and George Brett
or green light dispenser, either one.
Well, whatever. Let's stay safer. Let's do that.
Yeah.
George Brett hires Serrano to kill a chicken. Yep. And Joe Boo gets a refill. Then yeah, I think they do have a shot actually.
Or KFC. If we just get a big bucket of KFC,
that
right?
works too.
Okay.
Yep. Candlesticks are always a nice wedding gift. I know I'm mixing movies, but that doesn't matter. 913-912-4810 is the text
I will
line.
never not laugh at the time the Chiefs made the playoffs. They had like a 1% chance, like 9 things had to go their way, and it did.
Yeah, and everybody had to change their plans on New Year's that day because all of a sudden people had to go and cover it. You know, Todd had to all of a sudden go and cover it. I think maybe Steven had to go and cover it. Somebody else, and maybe Nate had to go and cover it because Todd asked somebody that used to work here if he would go and cover it, and he flat out said, "No, I'm not doing that," and then went and did something else, I guess. I don't know. He had already had plans. He wasn't going to change it for the station. Anyway, here, you know what? I sent you a DM, Dylan. I slid in your DMs a little bit ago just to see what's up this weekend, and also to pass along a tweet from that showed up in my timeline from Mel Kiper. ... Mel Kiper talking about why the offensive explosive numbers are down over the last few years. We've seen some of these things at the offense, and that's been floating around since Monday night, Tuesday, whatever, with all of these different stats and numbers that people have thrown out there. Well, Mel Kiper Jr. was asked, this is either yesterday on NFL Live or this morning, again, or Get Up. So it's on Get Up from this morning. This is Mel Kiper Jr. weighing in on how do you get the offense back going in the NFL.
Now that we've sort of set the table for exactly what your problem is with it, how would you try and solve it?
Well, I grew up with the best of the National Football League, 60s, 70s, into the 80s. You're talking about deep shots, right? The go route, the 9-route post. You're talking about Terry Bradshaw in a Super Bowl hitting John Stallworth. You see Leroy Irvin diving, right, just off his fingertips. There's the receiver. They laid it out there, right? Hit the receiver in stride. 65-yard touchdown. It's a beautiful thing to watch. That's what I want to see brought back to the National Football League. Okay, check down kings, bubble screen sensations, boring football. Game manager, I get it, but I want to see those deep shots. That's what the NFL was built on. I grew up with John Unitas, Fran Tarkington, Ken Stabler, Darryl LaMonica. You know, you talk about quarterbacks, Joe Namath. It was just right. Brett Favre when he was doing what he did. Burt Jones with the Baltimore Colts. You think about those quarterbacks who would throw the ball down the field. I'd say what Bradshaw did with Stallworth and Swan, Roger Staubach. That's what I want to see brought back. Say, well, you can't do that, right? Well, you got a 5-yard rule with the cornerbacks, right? The Mel Blount rule, right? Now with the push thing with Hurts, you got to be a yard back now. So don't tell me you can't have those safeties closer to the line of scrimmage than they are. I was at games where I'm thinking, hey, too high? They're out in outer space. I couldn't even find us. They're playing with 9 guys, right? Where are the other 2? Oh, the other 2, they're so daggone far back, and even though they're part of the damn play. I'm telling you, we got to change this thing, and we got to have, hey, you can warn them. They come up, hey, guys, you got to get up a little bit, right? You're too far back. Warn those safeties, but you got to figure out, competition committee, somebody's got to figure out what that depth is, but it's too far back right now. The NFL is being ruined by these too high safeties.
Okay. I agree. The NFL is ruined right now. I can't watch. I didn't watch at all. I mean, come on, everybody's watching. Ratings are way up. They're higher than they have ever been before. They continue to be up. Everybody's watching the NFL. It isn't, people aren't watching because we're not seeing these long deep, these deep passes are gone. Tell that to Rashid Shaheed and the Saints.
Yeah.
Tell that to Jefferson's 97-yard touchdown over the weekend, or Marvin Harrison's 60-yarder, or Rashee Rice's 44-yard touchdown that was over the top, on the fingertips, down the sideline. Like, just because we're not seeing it twice a game from every team doesn't mean we're not getting these longer, deeper passes that are touchdowns. Not every single play and defense is in a too-deep shell. I'm not playing a too-deep shell against a team that has crap receivers just because I don't want them to go deep. If a team is, you know what I'm not doing against the Steelers? Is playing a too-deep shell. You know what I'm doing against the Steelers? Worrying about George Pickens and stopping the run. I don't need two safeties deep when they're going to hand off to Najee Harris or run with Justin Fields or throw it to Freiermuth or Pickens. I don't need to be way deep back. I don't need to have a too-deep shell against Rashad Bateman and Zay Flowers when it's going to be Henry and Lamar and Justice Hill and their tight ends. I don't need to be that deep. Some players, some teams, yes. Miami, you got Waddle and Hill. All right, it's going to be a little tougher. Chiefs in the past, yeah, it's going to be a little tougher. There are teams, certainly, but to act like the whole league, yes, they're playing more too deep shell. But it isn't the only thing that's being played. In fact, the Ravens played tons of single high against the Chiefs in week 1.
So I have some fun just numbers that I just looked up just now because
You
I
didn't
think
look at my tweet, though, right?
No, I've not.
Okay, good.
So they brought up, they used to throw all these deep bombs because, yeah, when I think of the 70s and 80s, I think of that being the pass-happy era, not what we're in right now. Terry Bradshaw. Hall of Famer. This is not a knock on these older generations. The game was different. I get that stuff.
Yeah.
But this is kind of
No,
going to
the game was much more exciting, and they had a lot more scoring and a lot more deep passes. And
But this is kind of my point.
Wide open.
This is basically my point here, that he's just wrong. Like, the game has changed for the better, especially for the pass-happy. Terry Bradshaw, right? Phenomenal quarterback then. I mean, Hall of Famer, incredible. Completed 51.9% of his passes, 212 touchdowns to 210 interceptions.
Hall of Famer.
Yards per attempt, 7.2. Troy Aikman, Hall of Famer, right? Hall of Famer Troy Aikman completed 61.5% of his passes, right? We're seeing an uptick here. Different 90s now. We're talking 90s now.
Mahomes now has 100% of his touchdowns.
165 touchdowns, 141 interceptions, 7 yards an attempt.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. They're really airing it out there. And then let's get into this generation. Patrick Mahomes. 66.5% of passes complete. Wow, that's an even larger uptick, right?
Yeah,
it's even better. 222 touchdowns, already past Terry Bradshaw. Already well past Troy Aikman. 66 interceptions, about a third fewer than Terry. More than half less than Troy. 7.9 yards an attempt. What are we doing, Mel Kiper? These numbers are free for everyone. This is not news.
The internet exists.
We're in the best pass-happy era the NFL has ever been in.
Here's what I think we should start paying attention to a little bit more. All right, Mel Kiper went with the too-deep shell. That's what's ruining the NFL. Okay, ruining the NFL. Certainly, the NFL is now ruined. Nobody's looking at offensive line play. And we talked about, what was it, Joe Burrow and Tom Brady. We were looking at sacks and roughing the passer, specifically roughing the passer. Some of those quarterbacks, how quickly they get the ball out. Joe Burrow has had a pedestrian offensive line for a long time. It's much better this year than it has been, and it'll probably be better when Mims comes back. And hopefully the Chiefs don't play the Bengals again this year. I just never wanted to play the Bengals again. It doesn't matter. Whether they win, lose, tie, the game is too stressful. It's all of that stuff. And then the arguments with the Twitter, which is real life, everybody knows that. After the game, just don't want to play that anymore. But he's got a better offensive line, but he is quickly getting the ball out. Taking the snap, in the pocket, boom, get the ball out. We're not looking at offensive line, to me, and pass rushers. So I don't know if you've seen these numbers or not, Sterling. You have not seen my tweet. I'm not going to quiz you on these bigger numbers, but the smaller individual ones I'll quiz you on. But in 2020, actually, you know what? I'm just going to these are the numbers 2020 to 2021 to 2022 to 2023, okay? These are sacks in the NFL. 1135, so 1,135. 1,135. 1,244. 1,297. 1,410.
Wow.
Do you see the trend? There's almost 300 more sacks last year than there was in 2020. Holding penalties. In 2020, there were 274 total, accepted and declined, 274 total holding penalties against offensive linemen only. You can separate it out by position or offensive line, and when you separate it out by position, offensive line also includes when a tight end stays to block. So I don't use tackle, guard, and center because I want to know if a tight end has to stay to block and if he gets a holding penalty against a good defensive end or a running back that stays in. So holding penalties that happen in the backfield protecting the quarterback, there were 274 in 2020. There were 345 last year. So 70 more holding penalties and almost 300 more sacks in the same year. In 2020, there was one player that had 15 or more sacks. Now, here's where the quiz comes in.
I have a theory, by the way.
Well, I want you to answer this quiz first before you shoot the hostage. Last year, how many players had 15 or more sacks? There was one player in 2020. It was T.J. Watt. How many different NFL players had 15 or more sacks?
I'll go 6.
6? Okay.
Yeah, I'll go 5.
The answer is 5. So you went from 1 to 5. What about 10 or more sacks? Double-digit sacks. In 2020, there were 10 players that had double-digit sacks in 2020. How many last year?
21.
Yeah, 20, 21.
24.
Wow.
It has gone from 10 players that had double-digit sacks in 2020 to 24 players. One player had 15 or more sacks. 5 players last year had 15 or more sacks. So when we're talking about, the offense, this is too deep shell. Also, well, you know what? We can't take a 5-7 step drop and let the guy get deep because that guy is whipping that tackle's ass because defensive ends and pass rushing has advanced quicker and better than offensive line play has happened over the last few years.
100% agree. I think teams used to have one great edge rusher. Now it seems like
and teams also would have one great tackle. So therefore, boom, even each other out.
But it's almost like bullpen in baseball. You had one guy who was your closer. The rest of your bullpen was not good. Mm-hmm. Well, now it's like, okay, you have 4 guys in the bullpen's good. Now you have 4 good edge rushers or 4 good pass rushers.
Yeah, one in the middle. One defensive. You can have a defensive tackle that's killing the interior part of the line too.
And I think part of this is the league has gone so pass happy, which is not a bad thing, just the way the game has evolved, right? Just the evolution. The game is cyclical. That teams are now drafting pass rushers versus complete edge players, right? It's, hey, this guy might be better against the run, but he's not going to get after the quarterback as much. This guy's great getting after the quarterback, but he struggles sometimes in the run game. Well, give me the guy who can get after the quarterback because most of the time the team is dropping back to pass, right? So what are teams doing? That's what they're doing. They're getting defensive line players who are better getting after the quarterback than versus the run. Again, eventually the game will be cyclical. Some teams are going to say, hey, you're light. These linebackers are now better. Pass coverage linebackers are not quite as heavy because now they're getting after the quarterback some as well. Well, you're just going to run the ball, as we saw Green Bay do, 53 times and win. Like, again, I'm not saying that's in the strategy every single game, but the game is cyclical, and you're going to see that come back because when everyone goes so pass-happy, some team's going to get very, very run-focused, and they will have success. When's it going to happen? I don't know, but with this trend, again, I think a lot of it is based on what teams are drafting and what traits they covet.
Yeah, so last year, players with 10 or more sacks, and then we'll take a break. We'll go from most to the 10. 19 sacks for T.J. Watt. Josh Hines-Allen, Trey Hendrickson, Khalil Mack, Daniil Hunter, Max Crosby, Micah Parsons, Myles Garrett, Nnamdi Madubuike, Montez Sweat, Jonathan Grenard, Aiden Hutchinson, Danico Autry, Kayvon Thibodeau, Bradley Chubb, Hassan Reddick, Harold Landry, Nick Bosa, George Karlaftis, Chris Jones, Zach Sealer, Trayvon Walker, Bryce Hoff. That was all last year. Let's go back real quick to 2020, and we'll do the same thing. The players with double-digit sacks. Here's that list. T.J. Watt, Aaron Donald, Trey Hendrickson, Hassan Reddick, Zadarius Smith, Myles Garrett, Leonard Williams, Stephon Tuitt, Leonard Floyd, Romeo Okwara. That's it. There's your 10. You have added so many more with higher ability pass rushers to the NFL where 10 sacks is like, oh, that's nice here. Oh, yeah, 10 sacks, that's a pretty good year. Double-digit sacks, that's pretty good. Yeah. There's 24 of them that had 10 sacks last year.
There has been an extra game added, I think.
Nope.
Correct?
No
was
extra
was
games.
it the first year?
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll take a timeout. We need to take a timeout because Dylan is. Don't scream at me, Dylan.
Dylan, why are you yelling?
I do. I still love you. Whether you know what? You're not going to make me not love you. good point by Sterling of 16 to 17 games. So let's look at that. I looked at 2020 to 2023 because that's when people are looking at all these bigger plays and offense going down over the last 4 years. But so with the 17 game schedule starting in 2021, sacks in 2021, 1,244. Sacks last year, 1,410. So still up by 70. Players with 10 or more sacks in 2021, there were 17. In 2022, there was 19. Last year, there was 24. So it's still up by 7. It went from 17 to 24 in a 2-year span if we're looking at the 17-game schedule. So it's still trending in that direction. Holding penalties, all that stuff. It's still trending in the direction of quarterbacks sacked more often. Maybe that's an advent of the two-deep shell. I don't know. We'll talk with Ken Swanson next. Anderson with you. Sterling Holmes, Dylan Michaels, heading up until 2 o'clock. We'll hear from the Kansas City Chiefs about 40 minutes from now. Right now, let's talk with Kent Swanson, KC Sports Network, the KC Laboratory Podcast, joining us here in the zone. Kent, what is up, man? How are you, sir?
I'm doing tremendous on this Saturday or on this Thursday in September. Thank you so much for having me. Looking forward to talking to you, fellas.
Well, I appreciate it, and I wish it was Saturday. It is not. We're close, though. We are close to it being Saturday. Just a couple days. Let's make it a Saturday. Let's party. Let's do it. Thursdays are for the guys. That's what they say, right? That's what all the cool kids are saying these days. All right, Kent, let's start with just the takeaway and reaction to yet another Bengals-Chiefs game that no fingernails left, voices a little cracked a little bit maybe from that game, frustrations boiling over, yet in the end, hey, all good. They won the game, you know? What's your reaction and takeaway from that game on Sunday?
I think if you were looking at May when the schedule's released and you said, hey, look, man, 2 tough games to start off the season, 2 AFC contenders, Ravens, Bengals, I don't know if they're going to make it out of that stretch 2-0, but I'll take 1-1. The process to get there a little sloppy on Sunday from the Chiefs, obviously, that's partially what the Bengals do. But they kind of do a good job at making, the Chiefs play bad. But 2-0 walking out of Arrowhead against 2 contenders in the AFC and keeping both of them down, both of them starting 0-2, you're up 2 with a tiebreaker over both of them. You've got to feel great despite maybe the process not being pretty all the time. You got to feel really good about what the Chiefs have done here.
And I wonder, too, like, trying to put everything into context, if, let's say, the Bengals don't, struggle in week 1 the way that they do. If they, come out thinking, all right, this is going to be a tougher matchup than maybe we expected, that, New England is better than they were last year just because they've got, a new coach, and they didn't look very good at all against New England. They were clearly more inspired against the Kansas City Chiefs, and you're right about that. I didn't know that they would go 2-0. I picked them to go 2-0 when I went through the individual games, but again, like I've talked about, individual games, looking at those in and of itself in a vacuum doesn't necessarily translate to what an end-of-the-year record is going to be, because the players have to actually go out and play those games individually week in and week out, and it's a tough league. But they found a way to get it done. 2 games where the game was decided on, not necessarily decided on the last play. The Bengals, certainly that. I think the Ravens win the game if they get that touchdown, because I think they go for 2. So it is a hair in which we're talking about the Chiefs maybe being 0-2. Instead, it's the Bengals 0-2 and the Ravens 0-2. So you're right about that. Perspective that's there. You absolutely take it. And it's yet, another game where the Chiefs have found ways to win. It's what they've done. And, even when they didn't play their best, Kent, and that's where, like, I come away. I thought they played worse against Cincinnati than they did against Baltimore. And for whatever reason, Mahomes just, as of late, does not look great against the Bengals and Lou Anarumo, really for a long time at all against Lou Anarumo. I'm okay if we never see the Bengals again. Like, honestly, never play Lou Anarumo and the Bengals again. I'm okay with it.
Well, and hey, maybe they won't have to. Maybe it'll be future Broncos head coach Lou Anarumo. But they definitely present a challenge. Yeah, I mean, hey, look, Sean Payton ain't getting it done there. So
take that, Dylan. Dylan's about to yell at you. All right, he's putting his headphones on.
Well,
he's clearing his voice. Dylan.
Honestly, I'm not yelling at Kent. I just need him to respect my what I'm going through at this time with my Sean Payton fandom and not take shots like that, because it's a down bad situation for me right now.
Dylan is probably the biggest Sean Payton fan outside of New Orleans and the Payton family.
Yes.
So. The guy that drafted Ian Book in the 4th round, and the guy that compared his excitement for Bo Nix as the excitement he had from Mahomes coming out.
Yes, okay. You can stop making good points whenever you want. I'm down bad.
At any point. Objection, why? Because it's detrimental to my argument. That's why. Yeah, maybe Lou Anarumo will be the coach someday. Is there anything particular you think that, why Mahomes has these problems against Anarumo? Because it certainly seems like Mahomes, out of all teams he goes up against, it feels like he just presses against the Bengals and is trying to, have a 3-touchdown drive in every drive. Let's make these spectacular plays sometimes. I don't know. I even think when you go back and look at the film, the Xavier Worthy interception, the other side of the field is where he should have gone because he had the deep shot on the other side and it was open, but he didn't go there. Is there anything particular to look at as to why Lou Anarumo has this sort of this mind the ability to get Patrick Mahomes sort of in pretzels at times?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a lot of things. It's not just one thing. I think that's something that's important to establish off the top. I think, the Bengals, like in this particular game, they did a good job of inviting the run game. And I think what the Bengals do thematically, and that they've done throughout the, existence of Lou Anarumo there is, they've kind of taken the ball and taken the game out of Mahomes' hands in a bunch of different ways, and inviting the run's one of them. Turning around and handing a football off to Isaiah Pacheco or a Carson Steele is a win, I think, if you look at what the Bengals are trying to do. They keep those safeties real high, and they, try to keep a lid on everything. They are one of the best at forcing long, sustained drives. They don't give up a ton of explosive plays, although the Chiefs did hit them on one. And they do a great job on, capitalizing on the mistakes of the Chiefs. The Chiefs make a lot of boneheaded mistakes, and part of that's credit to the Bengals for being good about punching the football out when your undrafted rookie free agent is carrying the football. Or being opportunistic when the ball is in the air. They're just so good in those situations, and they make the Chiefs pay when a ball flies up and tips in the air. We've seen that. When, the ball gets out of Mahomes' hand and into the hands of a running back and onto the ground. Like, they come up with those turnovers. It's a compilation of all those things. So I think in this particular one, it was inviting the run a lot. And I think Mahomes was out of rhythm a little bit because of it. Like, I think there was just a lack of consistency there with how, the rhythm that this offense had. Part of that could be the run-pass ratio that they saw.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a good point because, look, the Chiefs ran the ball really well, and they were, running the ball at will in the first half, yet they scored 10 points. Turnovers matter, right? 2 turnovers stops you from getting down into scoring position. Also, 4th and goal at the 1-yard line, and they kicked the field goal. Maybe that was 4 points, but also they, could have found a way to punch it in on 1st, 2nd, or 3rd down. They did not. Ken Swanson is our guest. Let's talk about now this Chiefs team coming out of that Bengals game. They're still 2-0. Isaiah Pacheco is going to miss some time. It looks like it's going to be a while with the surgery that he's going through. How do they overcome the loss of Pacheco? What all needs to happen? Who needs to step up? And how can they try to cover up this loss over the next 2 months?
So, we were talking about this on our show last night, and I think one of my co-hosts, Matt Lane, made a really good point that, Isaiah Pacheco is a fan favorite, and he is a beloved player, and I love Isaiah Pacheco, and he has a tremendous value as a 7th-round pick. However, he's a, I don't call him a default running back one, but it's not like he's a, top-tier running back in the National Football League. He's a good player, but last week, the longest run he had was 11 yards. It wasn't like he was, converting these big run plays into these light boxes into these big explosive run plays. He was getting what was there, and a guy that runs hard and is physical and puts it all out on the line. There's no doubt he's a fan favorite, but it's not like he was, he's not this overly dynamic player that is just kind of changing the math. Like, he's invited to run, and he hasn't really punished teams with explosive runs over the first 2 weeks of the season. So it's a loss for sure, don't get me wrong, and having a guy that's very good about holding onto the football and running hard is a tremendous value. But I think the Chiefs can weather this storm. I think they can weather the storm with the guys that they have. They can, get Carson Steele involved a little bit more. They can get Samaje Perine involved a little bit more. Maybe Keontae Ingram, who Brett Veach lauded during the offseason as someone that they were excited to see on this football team, maybe get some opportunities as well. So I think, it's a fine line between, a fan favorite, but maybe not the most, dynamic player. Trying to replace him is going to be a challenge, but I don't think it's as big of a challenge as we are maybe making it out to be. And I think the Chiefs have the horses to be able to help.
I think it's an interesting point on the runs there. Pacheco doesn't necessarily feel like body blows or jabs at times. Sometimes the way he runs feels like it's a haymaker. But the haymaker is a Devon Achane 25-yard run or 30-yard run, not the 5 or 6 yard run. Like his long run in week 1 against the Ravens was 5 yards. And you mentioned the 11-yard run was his long last week. The long for Carson Steele in week 1 was 5 yards. The long for Carson Steele on Sunday was 9. So, I mean, you're right. It's not where we're talking about like Pacheco had 2 different 20-yard runs and Carson Steele is 3 yards in a cloud of dust. He had a 9-yard run. He also had a fumble, which, has to be better. That ball security has to be tighter because I didn't think it really took much to get that ball out. It was just sort of a swipe that is going to happen, every time he's running the football, that those hands are going to be reaching for it like that. That needs to be better. But I think you're right. I do wonder, do the Chiefs try to, pass the ball a little bit more? Do they put the ball into Mahomes' hands a little bit more? Do they force the issue to make sure Kelsey is getting involved and not just, okay, they're taking him out of the game, we'll look elsewhere? If they don't have Pacheco, or if the run game starts to stagnate a little bit with a rookie running back or a guy that doesn't have the full grasp of the offense the way that Pacheco does in Samaje Perine.
I think it's probably a little bit of everything. Like, they're definitely going to have to lean on those backs a little bit more. I still think they're going to have to run the football. I don't think it's just going to be a 70-30 clip from here on out just because, they've lost their starting running back and they're having to lean on a Carson Steele and a Samaje Perine. I think it's a combination of a lot of things. You probably are going to see them get Xavier Worthy and maybe even a McCole Hardman involved in the run game a little bit more. Maybe a Rashee Rice, getting him on one of those jet sweeps. We've seen them use him in that capacity before. Yeah, you probably need to find some ways to get Travis Kelce involved a little bit differently. Try to force the hand, force some things a little bit on him to get him open a little bit. I think it's just a lot of little things. But I do think, I think teams are going to continue to invite the Chiefs to run the football. They were held to 19 points in this game offensively, and that was with a light box. And the formula is really, and the Bengals are just so good at this when it comes to playing the Chiefs is, hey, let's just force these long sustained drives. Let's tighten up in the red zone. Let's force this team to make mistakes or, give them a lot of bites at the apple to make a mistake. And that's what happened in this game. The Chiefs made some mistakes that they don't otherwise do. So I think it's just a lot of little things. And I think the Falcons will probably try to do some things similar to what the Bengals have done, especially with the kind of safeties that they have in the back end in Justin Simmons and Jesse Bates.
Yeah, 2 of their scoring drives for 10 points were 29 total plays against the Bengals, both drives to start each half. 16-play drive to start the first half was a field goal. 13-play drive to start the second half was a touchdown. 29 plays. That is the Bengals saying, yeah, if you're going to score, you're going to have to be pretty good for these long drive drills. And you're going to have to be out here for a while in these long drive drills. I also think it makes it a little bit easier to drop so many guys and have a lighter box and dare them to run, because when they pass, you've got a guy who was just dominating the game in Trey Hendrickson, and the Chiefs didn't have an answer for him. Like that would be a concern, is if you go up against a team and, if Raheem Morris says, yeah, we're gonna keep a light box, especially now with no Pacheco, we're gonna make them prove that. We're gonna drop guys because we might have some issues in the secondary, certainly opposite A.J. Terrell. Mike Hughes is out there, so, take advantage of that and attack him. But Matthew Judon, if he starts winning and dominating in there, Grady Jarrett, if he's, performing well, then there's no reason to stack the box against the run. You dare them to run, and if they pass, which Andy Reid is going to do, and I'm certainly fine with him doing it, do you have the advantage if you've got one of these guys that's just simply dominating his individual matchup?
Yeah, a pass rusher can make a big factor in all this too. And we didn't really talk enough about the impact of Trey Hendrickson on what the Chiefs were able to do or not do in that game as well, right? The true drop back game was not particularly strong for the Chiefs. And, like, it was very high variance. Like, obviously, we saw the Chiefs hit Rashee Rice on that vertical play. That was fantastic. Really need to see that. Explosive plays are back in Kansas City at a higher clip than they were this time last year. But they still had, significant protection problems. Kingsley Suamataia was given that corner way too quickly for Trey Hendrickson, and Hendrickson was impacting that game significantly. And they weren't really able to get much going outside of that explosive, but one or two explosive plays / explosive play shots. So, compounding everything that we've just talked about, Trey Hendrickson took that game over too.
Yep.
And so that can't be overstated. With everything that's going on here, you still got to be able to protect the quarterback. And the Chiefs have not done a great job of that to this point. And I think Kingsley Suamataia played a big role in that one. It's going to be a big challenge for him if he's back in the saddle again this week.
Do you think he is? What do you think they do with Kingsley? Andy Reid is not committed to who's going to start this weekend. What do you think happens?
I think they should throw him back out there. I think they should go give him another shot. Now, the caveat being this is a tough rebound game because I think Matthew Judon, if they line Matthew Judon up over him, is a player that can give him a lot of challenges. He's got great hand technique. He can soften that corner at the edge position where Kingsley Suamataia has really struggled, with his hand technique. That's been something that was, prevalent with him coming out of college. Was something he really struggled with, and it's something that he has continued to struggle with here in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
And Judon's a guy that I think can really exploit that, compounding with the fact that it's a Sunday night football game on the road in a very loud stadium. That place is going to be insane, especially after the Falcons came back and beat the Eagles. So I think you probably throw him back into the fire. I think I continue to do that. This is a long process. You're 2-0 against two AFC opponents. You need this guy to get better throughout the season if you want to have this kind of success you're hoping to have. I think you just go right back to him.
So I want to hear in 20 minutes the coordinators will talk, and I'd love to hear from Matt Nagy and a question to him and maybe Andy Reid tomorrow. Matt Nagy may be asked today who's going to start at left tackle. Andy Reid, I'm assuming, will be asked tomorrow who's going to start at left tackle. But one of the things that was really a surprise to me is what I feel like was the lack of help from Kingsley on Trey Hendrickson. And I understand wanting to get the running back or the tight end out in a route and get him out, to help out Mahomes and have somebody else there to, try to stress the defense. But the last two plays for Kingsley Suamataia, when he was in the game, second down play, he gave up the sack to Trey Hendrickson, and, he, set outside, and Hendrickson went speed to power and then, goes inside and gets by him and sacks Patrick Mahomes, and it's then 3rd and long. The next play was that crazy fun play to Travis Kelce, who almost lateraled it, but it was a holding penalty. But you could see that Kingsley set up inside to where Trey was not going to beat him inside, and it was Pacheco or Pirine, I think it was Pacheco, who was the running back, and he escapes to his left, so towards Hendrickson and Kingsley, and he actually fades and almost weaves around as to not touch him, like to get out of the way, like, oh, he's about to mess up my route. And then Hendrickson goes right around Kingsley. Like, was Kingsley expecting help there? Same thing with the illegal hands to the face with Wanya Morris. Samaje Perine runs right by Trey Hendrickson and doesn't touch him. On 4th and 6. Well, maybe you want to get that guy out there in the route, but you also want to stop being dominated by a guy who, according to PFF grade, was the highest graded edge rusher this weekend, which makes sense. Well, pass rush win rate, I should say, at 40%, highest graded there. Aiden Hutchinson also had, I think, 15 sacks in his matchup against Tampa Bay. But were they supposed to give help, do you think, there? And if they were, it's sort of a head-scratcher if they take Kingsley out because they think the running back made a mistake. But if the running back didn't make a mistake, why aren't they then chipping and helping out when you've got Kingsley against Trey Hendrickson?
I prefer win weight, by the way.
Thank you.
I think
Ren weight. Pass rush Ren weight.
That's even better.
Yeah.
So we were on the KCSN post game show, and we had Jeff Schwartz on at the top of the show, and we're talking through, some of the issues with Kingsley Suamataia in the game against the Bengals, and he made up a great point that just and it's a great point. When you are not expecting, you have to expect help. You have to kind of understand how your help is going to help you, and you have to take that into consideration in your pass set. And so it's really hard to just go from no help to some help, because a chip can actually be detrimental if you are not prepared for a chip.
Yeah.
If you're not prepared for the impact of that chip, it can actually be detrimental to you being able to successfully set up that block, set up that pass protection, right? So it's hard to go in, it's hard to go from no chip to some chip at times too. And I think with Kingsley, it's, do you want to add another variable into the mix into this young kid that, we're putting out on an island and we're trusting him to be able to be that guy, or keeping someone out of the route, all those things that you kind of brought up. I think it's a challenge. I think it can even be a challenge and actually make things potentially worse if you are giving him help when he hasn't had help this entire time. That's something that requires a lot of reps, something that requires a lot of work, and it's something you've kind of got to feel through. So maybe they are more intentional about giving him some help, but they spend a whole week repping it out, so he has a better understanding of how to handle it. There's a lot of things from his developmental arc. I think the Chiefs are using this regular season as an opportunity to get him ready for when it matters the most. And they're willing to live through the lumps and the mistakes that he's going to make throughout the season. I think that's been the plan this whole time, right?
Yeah.
So how much do you throw at him? How many things do you do you give him to worry about? And that includes even the chip help. If you're not prepared for it and you're just trying to figure out how to get into your set and use your hands, adding, a potential balance change, a potential, more power, to the inside shoulder in your pass protection because you got a guy, kind of moving him in that direction for you. I think all those things are worth taking into consideration. So I don't think it's just as easy as, hey, just start giving him chip help, because he has to understand how to use it too.
Yeah, it would be a surprise if their plan going into the season, Kent, was, we're going to live through the growing pains. We know there's going to be some times that are going to be rough. We'll have to help them from time to time. We'll, maybe we won't help them. We're just going to have to live through that. And then week number 3, you've got a different starter in there that's not injury related. It would be interesting if that was the plan all along, and then they eject that quickly.
Well, and I will add too, I think a lot of the game planning was taking Kingsley into consideration to a degree too. All of, some of the stuff that they did in this game and how many passes Mahomes threw behind the line of scrimmage, things like that are, partially to help a Kingsley Suamataia as well. A lot of what they were doing offensively, I think, was kind of just to help him handle a very talented pass rusher that could give him fits. And so, even in some of the play calling decisions, I think Kingsley and protecting him a little bit as he works through all this was taken into consideration as well.
Ken Swanson, KCSN.substack.com, the Casey Laboratory Podcast. All right, do you have a feel for the game against Atlanta this weekend, Sunday night, and a score in mind if you've got one?
I've kind of made a decision. I'm not picking blowouts this year. I'm not picking, big wins. And I think, we probably need to set the expectation that the Chiefs are going to slog these games out. They're going to do what they do late and close things out, but it's never going to be pretty. You're never going to be overly satisfied. It's never going to be the cleanest game that you see. You might get one or two here or there, but for the most part, I think it's going to be a lot of slugfests and ugly football as they work through things to get ready for ultimately what matters to them, and that's January. So I think it's a 24-21 Chiefs win. I think it's a close game. I don't know if the Chiefs are ever up more than 7 in this game. I think it's that kind of game. So I think they pull it out late, but it's not going to be pretty, and it's not going to be a easy sleep on Sunday night for all of us staying up to watch it. So give me 24-21 Chiefs, late field goal wins it.
We'll see what happens. Kent, you're the man. Appreciate it as always, brother. Enjoy the football. We'll catch up in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, anytime, man.
All right, there you go. There's Kent Swanson, KCSN.substack.com and the Casey Laboratory Podcast. He and I are on the same sort of wavelength with picking the Chiefs moving forward. After Sunday's game against the Bengals, we'll pick some closer games. I'm going to go ahead and this is going to be a closer game this weekend. Quite frankly, I'm concerned about the Chiefs winning the game against the Falcons.
Ooh.
No, I mean, they've been really awesome on the road, but the way they played some sloppy football. And Atlanta, I think, comes away from that game against Philadelphia riding high, feeling amazing about how they played and feeling like maybe they gave one away against Pittsburgh the week before. Now they got a chance to get one back and win against the Chiefs at home. And yeah, if Kirk Cousins is getting more comfortable with some of the weapons that are there, Bijan Robinson is incredibly dynamic. Matthew Judon can be a game wrecker. Raheem Morris is a defensive guy. Like Kirk Cousins is capable if he's looking more like the older Kirk Cousins rather than old, looking like the old Kirk Cousins instead of old Kirk Cousins, which he did in week 1. Looked a little bit better at times in week 2 if he's progressively going to get better. Yeah, there's some concern with this weekend's game, but I am glad that Atlanta won against Philadelphia because there was more of a concern of the Chiefs spending all off season of week 1 and 2. Baltimore and Cincinnati. Baltimore, Cincinnati, Ravens, Bengals, week 1 and 2. What a tough start. Get through those first 2 games. Baltimore, Cincinnati, Ravens, Bengals. Then you get through that. Okay, now you got the Falcons. It's a little bit better to go, okay, now you got the Falcons when they beat the Eagles on the road.
It's also prime time.
It's prime time, but again,
I always trust Andy
humans.
getting his
I agree.
his dudes up.
They're humans, and they've had some games where they didn't play well. I trust Andy getting his dudes up, and Christmas Day, they were all still asleep waiting for Santa to show up and put their presents under the Christmas tree. They slept right through that game, and that was nationally televised, etc. But we'll see. I'm glad that Atlanta won because I don't think the Chiefs go and take Atlanta being 0-2 and losing to Pittsburgh and the Eagles and then heading into Atlanta. No, they just went to Philadelphia and won. All right, this team will beat you if you don't look at them as a really good team with weapons, a defensive coach that has some guys that can play some ball. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back, continue rolling one more segment, and then we'll hear from the coordinators and Chris Jones. More Zone next. You know, it hasn't been perfect for the Chiefs. They're still 2-0. Could be a whole lot worse, obviously. But you know what they don't have? They don't have one of their players' dads tweeting clips of their son in the game not getting the ball thrown to him.
Ooh.
James Odunze is tweeting out clips of Rome in a Bears uniform of just being open and not getting the ball.
Wait, already? It's week 2.
It's week 2. Just tweeting out clips of Rome Odunze being open. There was one clip where he was standing all alone, nobody within 10 yards in the middle of the end zone.
He went to Odell Beckham Sr.'s videography class.
That's exactly
seems.
right. Got
Yeah.
that Lonzo Ball,
Yeah.
whatever,
He was
Mr.
apparently
Ball.
tweeting back at Dan Orlovsky.
Oh, was he really? So he's
apparently it
even
was-
going at people with it, going back and forth?
Apparently, Dan Orlovsky said, given Rome more covered opportunities, Rome isn't getting open at this level right now. So basically says Caleb will have to get comfortable throwing him some 50-50 balls. That's from Dan. And then
Well, I mean,
James decided to post that bad boy back out there.
did he well, also like the wide receiver separation win rate through the first 2 weeks of the season, Rome Odunze is number 5, rookie.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't know if you want to be behind Jalen Polk, Adonai
Yeah.
Mitchell, Luke McCaffrey, and Jalen McMillan.
Yeah, but they're 1 through 4. Those are the top ones in the NFL.
Where was Rome drafted as a
rookies.
rookie wide receiver?
Okay, where was Neighbors and Marvin Harrison Jr.?
No, my point, you should be top 3 then.
Well, the Neighbors should be as well, and Marvin Harrison should be as
Agreed.
well. Yeah, and Xavier Worthy shouldn't be 11th, but he is. So Jalen Polk's number 1 in separation win rate. A.D. Mitchell's number 2. Luke McCaffrey number 3. Jalen McMillan number 4, although he's only had like 3 targets, McMillan. And then Rome Odunze 5, Neighbors 6, Keon Coleman 7, Ladd McConkey 8, Marvin Harrison Jr. 9, Brian Thomas Jr. 10, Xavier Worthy 11, Xavier Legette 12th. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll hear from the coordinators and some assistant coaches too. Big press conference day coming up next. Tobe, Steve Spagnuolo, Matt Nagy, Andy Heck, Dave Merritt, Todd Pinkston. I don't know that I've heard Todd Pinkston talk.
No.
Running backs coach Todd Pinkston. And then Chris Jones when he gets to the podium. Fun Chris or sleepy Chris today?
I'm going fun. He's 0 for 2. He's been sleepy Chris the first two.
I'm going to go sleepy Chris until we get fun Chris.
Wow. I'm optimistic.
Right? I mean, I'm going to go Chiefs close wins until we get a blowout win or a loss. So Chiefs close win against the Falcons this weekend, sleepy Chris. Or maybe you get fun Chris today, and then that results in a big win. Maybe
Yeah, I
that's
like
what
that,
the correlation is. Maybe that's the correlation causation. Sleepy Chris, close wins. Fun, jovial Chris.
Geehaw,
Dominant.
geehaw.
Yeah. Geha. Field. So injuries are coming down right now. which is the same as yesterday, which everybody was a full participant. So even with injuries, everybody was full participant. They don't really have anybody on the injury report in terms of, oh, this guy may not play, except for the obvious of Pacheco and Hollywood. So here comes Dave Tope up at the podium.
Fire away.
All right, go ahead.
I know we've talked a lot about Harrison, but you guys get the first down, and you didn't really feel like they needed to get a whole lot more yards because of kind of how good he's been.
That's true.
How much comfort does that give you as a special teams coach?
As soon as we get in range, like, we're yelling at all the time, we're in range, in range, in range. Don't make any dumb things happen. Don't let any dumb things happen right there. And, our offense did a good job with that. And obviously, it just feels good to have a guy like Bucker that can make them.
Dave, when you sent him out, when Andy, you guys both sent him out at
Yeah.
the end of the half, was the plan actually at that point too?
Yeah, we were going to kick it. I was all in. I was all in with it. Andy was right. He was smart. So we looked at the situation. With how much time was left on the clock. If you miss it, they get that field position right there, and then probably go down and at least kick a field goal. So he was smart. Pulling us out and then going with the punt. I'm happy Matt made a nice punt there too.
And then just with the kickoff overall, as you look across the league over the first couple of weeks, what really stands out to you?
The ball's getting out to the 30. Kind of on an average right now, with occasional balls going for big returns. So, we're still weighing it all out, seeing, what actually is happening right now. And that seems to be the trend right now. So, you got to keep an eye on it, what's going on.
Dave, with Pacheco out, does that affect your guys' kickoff returners with guys maybe haven't taken bigger
It might, yeah. I mean, I go to walkthrough every day and I see who's getting reps and stuff like that, so I can set up my roster, and it could. I mean, it could be a situation where we don't give Steele as many on that, and then go with Sky and McCole back there a little bit more.
You guys did kick off a couple of returnable kicks.
Yeah.
For the first time, you guys obviously have indicators you're looking at.
Yeah, exactly. Go ahead.
Explain kind of like.
All right, if we see something like during the week, and they show us a look, we might want to try to bang one in there, which it worked out great on the first one, not so good on the second one. They got to the 32, so it's rolling the dice a little bit, but you're trying to, it's a risk reward thing, just like I talked about last week.
Young players sometimes will make their name on special teams and then kind of develop into their role on defense. Jaden Hicks is not too many snaps right now. What do you see, projection-wise in terms of what he could be eventually?
He's in a lot of key spots for us right now. He's our PP on punt, which he's making all the calls, and he's also the mic on punt return. So he's responsible if a team ran a fake, and to be able to stop that, just like we used Sorensen in the past. So he's in a lot of key roles for us, and it's going to help him develop. As a safety, learning football instincts and the speed of the game, and he gets better and better each week. He doesn't make the same mistake twice. That's what I'm really happy about him, about having him.
Player, Connor, just what he means maybe to what you guys think.
Yeah, Connor, obviously that tackle that he made on the kickoff, made his guy miss, open field tackle, got him tackled on the 24-yard line, which anytime you get somebody tackled inside the 25 with this new kickoff stuff, you're doing something special. So that was a heck of a play by him. And, he was good last year. He was the same thing, like Hicks last year, the way he developed through the year. And now it's his second year, and he's that much better, and we got a lot of good players on special teams right now.
With the roster moves this week with Cole Christensen coming up and Keontae, what are those guys going to be able to do for you?
Yeah, a guy like Cole, when he's up, you immediately make him a four-phase guy, so he'll relieve some pressure off of some guys like Leo and Gray possibly, and Connor. Those spots are valuable spots, but Cole's a guy that I totally have total confidence in, that can go in and play at a high level. We have a lot of good players on the practice squad that can come in and play for us right now.
When these end of roster decisions are made, how much direct contact do you have with Beecher? How does that dynamic?
A lot. Yeah, we talk about it. He comes to my office, we talk about it. Andy, we get on a three-way call, like early on Monday. We talk about all that stuff.
You mentioned, Matt, you have that nice punt before half. When we talked to him at the camp, he was still working on that kind of stuff. that's going to come with experience. How much better has he gotten with those kind of kicks?
Yeah, he's only had 5 punts so far in 2 games. So, but his first game with the 3 punts, he had 2 touchbacks, and then he came up with the 3rd punt, which was a great punt, the 4.94 that we tackled him for a 2-yard gain. This game, he only had 2, and the goal this past week was no touchbacks, and he did that. So, and then Josh made a great play on the goal line, obviously knocking that ball back, for us. That was a huge play. And combination of him hanging the ball up, and then the coverage getting down there doing their job, it's going to make his job that much easier. But he did make an improvement from game 1 to game 2.
Dave, from a committee perspective, when you guys are evaluating adjusting kickoff or kick return, is there any benefit to moving the kicker back that forces everybody to keep it in play?
You're talking about like if there's a penalty, or
no, just in general, having the kicker move back a little bit to where every kicker's got to keep it in play versus kicking it to the end zone, taking that option away.
I'm not sure I understand.
Changing the rule
to instead of at the 35, put them at the 20. Say.
Is there any benefit to that?
Yeah, that would make it a lot harder to kick touchbacks for sure. That would be an option. The other option would be obviously if it is a touchback, give them that ball at the 35. Those are two things that I'm sure they're going to look at. If this thing keeps going as it's going. I think more and more teams are going to start coming out with the ball a little bit, as it's 2 or 3 deep. They might take a shot a little bit more as the season progresses. I think that's going to happen.
Couple more.
What is Butker's longest? What's the furthest he can make it? And I'm not talking about the hurt.
I just
behind him, but just in fair conditions. What's the
in a vacuum? He could probably hit, I'd say, a 68-yarder. With a little bit of wind, he could probably bang. I've seen him do it, 73 yards. I've seen him do it. So that kick was very makeable because we had the wind at our back, and he hit I think he hit a 66 in pregame, and then we tried a 73, and he just kind of barely. He was plenty leg. The leg was strong enough, but just a little bit left. So in the right conditions with the time right, if we'd have ran a little bit more time off the clock there, if it was 10 seconds or so, you take a shot at it. We'll get that option. We're going to get that chance. I mean, he was disappointed. You've seen him. He was disappointed when we took him off. He really thought we were going. I did too. I really did. But Danny was right. That was a smart decision by Coach Reed.
No, looking at the weather reports this week. Is that no fun for you?
Don't have to worry about it in there, right?
Thanks, guys.
All right, thanks.
All right, there's Dave Tobe. Harrison Butker, 68 yards in a vacuum. 68 yards, he can kick one. Pre-game, before the game, he kicked one going that way with a little wind at his back from 73, but it was just left. It had the leg, but he did not make it because he missed it just left.
I love 68-yarder. Yeah, that was very makeable.
Oh, yeah, that's a 68-yard. That was makeable, but, obviously if the situation was different and Andy made the right decision, and I think he did as well because the odds of making a 68-yarder are low. But, look, if that was 4th and 19 from that spot for the Chiefs, down 2 in the game, then I think he kicks the 68-yarder. Heading that way with a little wind to your back. I think they attempt that and say, let's try to win the game. Whether we break the record or not, this guy made 73 earlier in warm-ups going this direction. Now, he was going the other direction, so 68 might have been in that same situation if it was at the end of the game and they were facing 4th and long, or take your chances with a 2-point deficit and a 68-yarder with the wind at your back. Reed's going to kick it. Andy's going to kick that. That's a weapon that they have, and especially when Dave Tobe said, once they sort of get there, you start hearing them going, in range, don't do anything dumb. Here's Spags.
Okay, we're ready to go on to the next one. They don't get any easier. Got another tough opponent, but with that, I'm just going to open it up.
Last couple of games, you've gone with 8 defensive linemen active on game day, and a little bit, I'm sure, Cam and Marvin are new, getting up to speed.
Yeah.
How quickly do you feel like you're going to be able to get them in there?
We're getting there. We talk about it every week. Brett always comes in and asks, and Joe and Terry have spent a lot of extra time with both Cam and Marlon, and they're both great about it. They're the first guys in here. So they're chomping at the bit to get in there, and we'll see where that goes. It'd be nice to get more than 8, but there's only so many numbers, so we'll see what happens.
What stands out about the way Chris influences the game, even if it doesn't show up on
Yeah.
the session?
Yeah, he's attracting a lot of double teams right now. You guys have probably done your film study, so you can see that, right? Yeah, he does. I mean, we try as much as we can to get him, on one person, but it's hard to do. And people tend not to let that happen. One of the things we probably need to do a better job of is get into some longer third downs. I think I was sharing with the unit this morning that, if I did my math right, I think we've only had 19 third and 2 pluses. That's really not enough in a game. It's only 9.5 a game. So, but that means we're going to play better on first and second down, and that's where this team's going to become really challenging because we know they run the ball really well.
In the frame of not having as many youth to start the year again, how important has Leo become in those
Yeah, Leo's been huge. We realized that if we ever had an injury issue on game day at defensive end, Leo can always go in there. He's been a fullback. We've used him in a lot of different spots. That tells you a lot about him, tells you a lot about how intelligent he is, and what we think of him as a player, both offensively and defensively. And it's reassuring to have a guy like that.
You watch the Bengals target their tight ends a bunch. What
Yeah.
does the film tell you about?
Yeah, look, I don't get. Somewhere I heard it or somebody said it to me. I don't get wrapped up too much in all the stats. I mean, tight ends have had a couple of plays on us in the 2 games. Last week, Justin slipped. I don't know how I don't know what you do about that. Get new shoes. And then we had a couple of broken plays, or at least one I can remember in the Baltimore game. So all of a sudden now it's But listen, we got another really good tight end we got to worry about. So I get it. They also have some other good plays, and they have a really good run game. I think I've said this before. You start worrying about, I'm talking first and second down now. You start worrying about taking guys away in the pass game, and you have a team that can run it. It's hard to have enough people left to play the run. So we hope to get better at it, but we're not going to hit the panic button.
Trent McDuffie.
Yeah.
You kind of talked. He obviously got a lot of accolades last year, but now he's lined up. I think the numbers: 4 targets, 1 catch on 40-odd snaps against Jamar Chase. Is that proud papa right there?
Yeah. Well, he ought to feel real proud about it. I mean, listen, that guy he's a headache. He's a good player. I thought Trent did a really good job. I thought, there was some red zone. I would like to have had that 4th down red zone stop last week. Would have been really big. But there were other red zone plays in there where I thought our corners did a really good job of taking some things that we thought that they would do. Now, they eventually scored on a couple of them, but thank God we played some decent red zone snaps and got them to kick field goals. But Trent's been kind of leading that whole crew, him and Justin Reed. And it's funny, year 3, right, for Trent goes by quick. But he feels like he's been here because he's mature, It just feels like he's a 10-year vet and he's only in his 3rd year. But we need him to keep playing at a high level.
Steve, obviously you guys liked him. You traded up to get him in the draft that year. But is there something that you maybe didn't know about him that now that you've coached him for a few years, you've come to appreciate about him?
Yeah. Listen, we always thought he was an intelligent football player. The one thing I do remember, because I spoke with his college head coach prior to the draft and all that, they also had another good player there, and I can't recall his name, but the other player was playing. Yeah. And he was playing inside a lot, playing nickel. And I remember the question to Jimmy Lake was, that's who he was coaching at the time, was could Trent play nickel? Because I didn't know if we ever were going to have, and he said, yeah, no brainer. Now that was coming from him. He was right, So I didn't know it, having seen it on film, but then once he got here, really last year it allowed us to move LJ outside because of what Trent could do. And you guys see it. We put him in both spots now, but that was encouraging, and it's given us a boost that he's been able to play inside and outside.
Kirk Cousins you battled against him for years, right? Back when we moved to Washington,
a lot of respect for him.
How has he kind of progressed over the years?
Yeah.
How does he look any different now than back then?
Certainly not throwing the ball. A lot's been made of the injury and whether he's mobile or not. Although he looked pretty mobile to me against the Eagles. Had him under center, where he's been a lot. Last year, I thought he gave us some headaches when we went up to Minnesota. I just think he's so smart as a football player, and he's one of those guys that can chuck it anywhere. We were watching one this morning. He still can put it in spots. He's real accurate. In that regard, he's a lot like Joe Burrow. I'm not putting, I got respect for both of them. And now with the one that we're playing, obviously, is the one I respect the most. But I always think a guy like Kirk gives his team a team to win, no matter what the score is. We saw what he did the other night. And against us up in Minnesota, they were driving, and we had to make a couple of plays at the end. So all hands on deck against him.
Nick.
Steve, when you're going against a 2-minute drill and an offense may have that installed for quite some time, what are the keys defensively from keeping them from getting into that?
Yeah, all the 2 minutes are different in my opinion. You know, do they need a field goal? Do they need one touchdown? Do they need two? And that dictates really how you're going to play it. Most of them are in what we call a challenge mode, not a chunk mode. We call it chunk and challenge. A chunk mode would be is you just don't give up chunk plays and we're going to win. You know, you're probably up by 3 touchdowns, right? Most of them are challenge. And us, it's always been, you know, we don't want to be soft in 2 minutes. We want a challenge. Somebody's got to make a play. What really helps in a 2-minute drill is a sack. Quarterbacks are usually too smart and they get rid of it. But if you do the study on it, if you get a sack in a 2 minute, you generally end up winning. But we practice it a lot, and our guys are, well, hopefully if we get one this week or two, end of the half, end of the game, hopefully we're on point.
One of the things, you guys got the big sack last week. Shamari got the sack.
Yeah.
You had a lot of guys who were defensive backs who were good at rushing. What sort of characteristics do you have to be that blitzer to actually get back there and make the sack and not just the pass?
That's one thing. When I do evaluate DBs and linebackers as well, I'm always looking for guys that can blitz. I tell you one thing that I always look at is a vertical jump, because I just think that signifies explosive traits. Chamari has it's over 40. I don't know exactly what he'd know exactly what it is, and they all know exactly what they. But that's one thing that I do. The guys that can go from a standstill to really fast, to me, are the guys that are the best blitzers. And you know, Trent can do it. You know, Chamari's done it. LJ used to do it. You know, we got a lot of guys that can do it. Some guys got to time it up and be moving forward. Other guys can go from a standstill.
Thanks, Coach.
Are there other things besides explosiveness that you look for there?
Well, you know, a knack for timing it up, to me, is a big one, using the quarterback's cadence. I mean, guys that are smart to use all the indicators to time it up right, because if you give it away...
Thanks, Coach.
Are there other things besides explosiveness that you look for there?
Well, you know, a knack for timing it up, to me, is a big one, using the quarterback's cadence. I mean, guys that are smart to use all the indicators to time it up right. Because if you give it away, I mean, Kirk Cousins is a perfect example. You give away pressures, he's going to find a way to get out of it or get it protected. I mean, Charmy did a really good job on that one in holding it. So those two things to me. Yeah, you got it.
Yeah, Shamari Connor was incredibly explosive at the Combine. Had a lot of those L'Jarius Sneed traits. Connor ran a 4.5 40. Sneed ran a 4.47. Connor had a 40.5-inch vertical. Sneed had a 41-inch vertical. They had the long arms. Those were the things that sort of stood out when it was like, oh, they're getting Connor. Played safety, but they think he can play down in the slot. L'Jarius Sneed played safety. So, yeah, we'll see if he turns out to be even better than he is already. Here's Matt Nagy.
About the way teams are defending Rashid, it seemed like maybe the Bengals and Ravens didn't do it the exact same.
Every week is probably going to be a little bit different with him and these players we have, and that's a good thing. We like the way that they're playing. They're playing fast, and I think it's the biggest part of the process is going to be us just being able, as coaches, being able to make sure that we try to get them open in different ways, and then the players adjusting.
With the change with running back, I imagine none of these backs are going to get 24 touches like the Jeff did. How does it change the operation for you guys?
Yeah, it's certainly a little bit different, but that's expected. You know, Pops is doing a good job recovering, and that's part of this game is injuries. But we know how much he wanted to be out there. But for us, football-wise, and the X's and O's part, I think the guys that we have in here now have really been able to get a chance to be in this offense, get some valuable reps, whether it be at training camp or preseason, and now it's the next man up mentality. And so, you know, you guys know who the guys are that are here, and for us, the biggest thing is just making sure that we put them in optimum situations and probably don't try to do too much one way or the other with any of them, and understand too that this is going to be, it's a little new to these guys, and that's okay. You know, we just help them through the process, but there's a lot of excitement for them too.
How ready would you feel like is Steele? Is there trepidation just considering he is an undrafted free agent that's new and a rookie here?
I would say there's a lot of confidence with him and with Carson, and he's probably, the best way to put it is, he's probably as ready as he could possibly be for being a young rookie player in this position for this team. So we're excited about that. He's had a phenomenal attitude, and we have a lot of trust in him.
Matt, what's the plan at left tackle? You guys already decided who's going to start on Sunday?
No, we talked through all that, and Coach in the end will go ahead and make that decision. But for us right now, it's just the biggest thing is making sure that whoever it is, that they're ready and that these guys are able to really just continue to stay positive and be great teammates and leaders. And I think that's the beauty of this game throughout.
What have you seen from Kingsley since Sunday?
He's been great. He's when you go through that or something like that in that game, it's all about your attitude and how you handle it, and how do you handle it the next day. It can be tough, but he's such even though he's a young kid, he's a mature kid, and he's a fighter. So when you're a fighter, you want to try to get better each and every day, and that's what he's done all week.
I know it's just been one day, but what kind of football shape does Kareem look like that he's in, and how does he kind of compare to when you last had him?
Yeah, he I think he looks good, and for him, there's a lot that goes to it, but for his situation, just kind of relearning the offense and getting back into the sync of the physical parts with the reps. But there's going to be a little bit of time that goes with it, but for the most part, he's been impressive. And I think for us, that's a good thing, because to me, I had him in 2017 when he was just here, and I really, the person, the player, all that, you see it there, but you also understand the process and what he's getting into. So yesterday was day one. We'll see where day two takes us today.
Coach, we've heard, Andy talk about not using Pat in a quarterback sneak role, and you understand why, what happened and everything, but I heard a stat somewhere about Carson Wentz actually had a higher success rate on quarterback sneaks than they have with the tush push now in Philadelphia. I mean, would that be an option that you send him out there? And I know you don't want to show the defense, hey, every time he comes out here he's going to do it, but he's not a tight end taking the snap. He's a quarterback. He can throw. He can do everything else.
Well, I'd hold off on the he can throw part. I don't know about that. But yeah, who knows? I mean, it's we're open to all and any idea. So Coach Reed, he's always looking for different ways to do things. So maybe not. I don't know. It sounds like kind of a scheme question.
And Matt, what have you seen from Travis through 2 weeks, just generally out there?
Travis has been really good. I know, you look at the targets, you look at the numbers, you look at all that stuff with Travis, and he for who he is, I've been with him quite a long time. I've seen him around practice, I've seen him in games, and there's been zero change. He's been great, and I think he knows who he is. We know who he is, and when you have that, it's important to know that, and it's just a matter of time.
Matt, with the parity that's in the league and how tight games are in the fourth quarter, what are the keys for you guys in being able to close those games out and get the win?
Be on the same page. When you get to the situational football, you all got to be thinking the same thing. And as much as you can do that without being in panic mode, you want to be calm, cool, and collected in those moments. And there was some situational football last weekend, whether be it at the end of the half or at the end of the game. And I thought all three phases did a great job. But you got to make sure you over communicate throughout the week with understanding situations. And then when you get put in that position and live, you better do it the right way.
What are the challenges of the Falcons defense?
Well, I just think they play hard. They really play hard. They're a defense that they keep a lot of things in front of them. You saw that game the other night with Philadelphia, and they did a really good job of tackling. They're physical. They understand the scheme. It's a great scheme that they have, and they got good football players. So for us, the biggest thing is, how do we play fast and then understand that they're a good football team. It's obviously a primetime game, so they'll be juiced up. We'll be juiced up. But I think Coach Morris has done a great job in their defense in general, and he always has.
Coach, I know you're focused on your games and your team and everything, but passing touchdowns are way down, league-wide. I mean, defenses seem to be having the advantage right now. I mean, I know football's cyclical, but you got any theory on why all of a sudden they seem to be getting, having so much success against the passing game overall?
Well, it is cyclical. I think that the defenses, whether you look at it you can get into the whole cover 2 shell idea. You can get the extra guys down in the box to stop the run, so you want to pass more, and then you pass more, and now they go cover 2 or shell. I also think too that there's probably a little bit. I don't know this. It's just hitting me as you're asking the question, but I'd be curious to know what those numbers were 4, 5, 6 years ago and who those starting quarterbacks were then and the experience they had versus the quarterbacks now and the experience they have now as those starters. I don't know that. Maybe I'm way off, but it could be something there. There's a lot of young quarterbacks, and, it's a tough position. And so maybe it's a combination of both.
Last one, Pete.
Regardless of who starts at left tackle, how much do you sense that maybe in certain situations you guys might have to go a little bit heavier just to figure out, okay, do we have enough protection there for Pat?
Well, we always want to make sure, and even last week, Trey Henderson is a dominant defensive end, so we knew that going into it, and we had different things to try to help us out with that. So every week, regardless of who it is, we want to make sure that Pat is protected and the quarterback in general. So we'll have a good plan for it, and then we got to be able to adjust too, because they're going to do different things for defensively each week, and that's our job as coaches to put the guys in the best position.
Thanks, Coach.
All right, thank you.
All right, there's Matt Nagy. You're listening to Sports Radio 810 WHB Kansas City. Yesterday, Andy Reid. Today, Matt Nagy. Both asked about who's starting at left tackle. Neither of them saying who was going to start. Matt Nagy saying, we'll talk through all that with Andy Reid, but just have to make sure whoever it is, they're ready to go and positive and keeping the right mind frame as they go through this week. Mindset, frame of mind, and coming off of a performance like that, how do you respond? And said that Kingsley's responded really well. He's a fighter, and he's handled it well, and he's just trying to get better each and every day. So we'll see if Andy Heck, who's going to talk here as offensive line coach, we'll see if he lets it slip who's going to start on Sunday.
Just keep asking.
Or if as he walks up, Brad G goes, hey, Andy yesterday and Matt Nagy specifically said that they don't know who's starting yet at left tackle, so, don't tell him.
It's probably the delay between these two, I'd imagine.
It might be, that Andy Heck's going to be up next, and it's like, hey, don't weigh in on who's starting at left tackle. Just keep that vague. All right. We just need that carrot out in front of Kingsley to still start. We'll see who it ends up being, but Andy Heck's going to talk. Dave Merritt's then going to talk. Todd Pinkston, running backs coach, and then Chris Jones as well. So said Kareem Hunt looks good. So got to learn the offense. Those physical reps.
Shockingly, they always look good. It's never, looks bad.
Yeah,
he does not look good.
Not sure why they brought him in. They said they brought him in for a workout. I'm not sure who was working out or what was that. But here's Dave Merritt, actually.
Jaden Hicks, just how is he developing, and how much further do you think it could be before he could be a real contributor?
Yeah, when Jay Reed had his little boo-boo of his finger the other day, Jaden went right in and ended up showing up on a couple of plays for us, and so he's developing exactly the way that we thought he would. And so, but as far as his role going forward, I think, we can end up start seeing him a little more. Spags and I have talked about that, and so hopefully that's going to be coming soon. But heck of a football player. We would like to continue to get him in there if we can.
What's impressed you most about Trent so far this season?
His ability to be calm no matter where we put him on the defense, whether he's going to the corner position, whether he's sliding into the nickel position, just his ability to be able to move around, because last year he didn't have to necessarily travel around as much. But he's just a good guy that you can talk to about, hey, this is what we would like to do, whether it's bunch stacks, whether it's a particular wide receiver, and Trent just never bats an eye.
In training camp, you were forward and kind of saying we hope another cornerback steps up for 2 weeks. What's your assessment of how Jalen has done?
Yeah, Jalen has done a good job for us. When he had the last preseason game and he didn't play so well, that was a little digression for him. But since then, he refocused. He got back to the Jalen Watson that we thought that he would become. And so hopefully he would continue to ascend and going in the direction that he's currently going in.
Dave, with the running back as dynamic as Bijan Robinson,
Yes.
both running and pass, what does the secondary have to be mindful of?
Have to be ready to, number one, not only the running back, you have to be ready to defeat blocks first. So Drake is a pretty daggone good blocker. He reminds me of an old Hines Ward throwback type blocker. As far as this young man is big body guy. So the number one thing we've been working on all week is making sure we take care of the first contact, which is our pressure key. And then we can get to the running back next. But understanding that 5 is the guy that does a lot of the heavy lifting and being ready to crack, replace, and if he's getting ready to block you, you better make sure you bring your lunch pail. And then you have to deal with the back next. And so I think a lot of people, when they are looking at this run scheme, their eyes are so focused on the back, and all of a sudden they're getting cracked, they're getting walled off. And so if you don't take care of the first line of defense first, for us offensive linemen cutting as well as wide receivers blocking, it's going to be a long day.
In your eyes, what makes the conditions perfect for a timely defensive back blitz?
Oh gosh, I'm gonna leave that one to the Spags. I won't answer that. All right. When I become the coordinator of the Raleigh Bull Little League team, then I can answer that question there.
Dave, I know you're joking about Justin's little boo-boo, but his hands look pretty mangled after the game. I think one was cut, and he suggested one finger was broken.
Yeah.
What does it take to still be effective when you got that going on, and how much does that happen to D-backs having to deal with stuff with their hands?
Yeah, that was one that probably one of the, in my 20-something years, I don't think I've had a defensive back that had that type of a cut. And now to see him come back into practice and we go over and hit the sleds, there's nothing that we changed on our weekly routine, and he was able to go over and strike the sled still. So the kid is, the young man, he's not a kid, the young man is really mentally strong. Justin has a mentality that, hey, let's move on. It's just a finger. Let's keep going. And so I know if that was me, I would probably be asking my wife to, to just pray with me and just, have some ice at home for me. But not Justin. He just continues to go. So, but I'm happy that we have a guy like that on our team, because other players are seeing that. And when other players see that, that's when you just start to gain that grit, those calluses on your fingers when you're lifting weights. And now you're getting teams coming in here, and they're coming into a culture where, like, okay, wait a minute, that's the standard. So I can't hold out if I have a little injury. So happy for him.
Nazi got more work in
Yeah.
too. Is that just a matter of getting him back into football shape and not getting the rest off?
That's exactly right. Nazi Johnson, you cannot, there's not a better human being in that locker room, in my opinion, than a Nazi Johnson. He's always positive. He's always smiling. Brother man is his word. What's up, brother man? But Nazi is one of those guys to be able to get him going and playing in some of his first time NFL games. You think about it, he's been a special teamer. And going, when I say playing, playing the corner position. Nazi is doing a great job for us, and he's going to continue to learn. He had the touchdown that he gave up the other day in the red zone, but he'll learn from that. But he's just a great young man who's, we're happy that part of the Fab Five, that he's one of the fifth piece of that puzzle that's stepping up for us.
Thank you, Coach.
All right. Thank you, guys.
All right, there's Dave Merritt. Yeah, Jaden Hicks, hopefully he gets a little more playing time. The running game, I thought it was really interesting, him weighing in on how they stopped Bijan Robinson, and his first conversation was about Drake London, who, by the way, had a 93 run block grade against the Philadelphia Eagles on Monday night. So
Hines Ward.
Yeah, so Drake London, that's who you got to worry about. You better bring your lunch pail when they're running the football, and number 5's coming for you to block. So that's interesting, something to look forward to or look for in the game on Sunday night. And Justin Reed with the cut on one hand and the broken finger on the other.
The boo-boo, he originally called it.
When Justin Reed had his little boo-boo, Jaden Hicks went in there and showed up on film a couple of times, but called it a little boo-boo. He's got a cut on one hand and a broken finger on the other. I wouldn't expect Justin Reed to step in front and maybe get an interception with his hands on Sunday if it's coming his way, because laceration on one hand. But he didn't show up he's not on the injury report.
It's incredible.
Which is what Dave Merritt's talking about, is just sort of a let's go.
Toughness.
Hitting the sled, let's go. I'm pushing the sled, both hands, let's do it. So maybe I'm overreacting with if the ball is thrown his way, but yeah, you saw him when he walked off the field with a broken finger, and they were looking at his hand is shaking, just like, there's something wrong there. The other one, when they taped it up for the last race, just a cut, just a cut that Dave Merritt said he's never seen a defensive back have a cut like that in that spot, but he's seen broken fingers before, and it's unfortunate as part of the game, but guys got cut on one hand, broken finger on the other, still finished the game, still stayed in there and finished the game. The dude is a warrior, man. He's a big addition, big reason why the Chiefs have won back-to-back Super Bowls is going out and signing Justin Reed when they did first day. That was first day of free agency too.
But
when they signed him.
it's the toughness. It's
Yep.
some of the intangibles. It's the what he brings to this team.
Mm-hmm.
You can't always quantify it. You needed a leader, and he has stepped up and been that defensive leader.
Yeah, interesting. Dave Merritt said he and Spags have talked about getting Jaden Hicks more playing time, figuring out a way to get him on the field a little bit more. Yeah, I mean, look, if they're getting what they want out of Connor and Cook and Reed and, their other, cornerbacks, then, no reason to have them out there. But if they're getting torched in, like, tight ends and other things, that maybe it's Jaden Hicks in there for Drew Tranquil or something like that,
Yeah.
as a linebacker. Maybe that's part of the next step. Todd Pinkston's going to be next up, the running backs coach for the Chiefs. He will be heading in here in just a second after we heard from Dave Merritt. We'll still hear from Andy Heck and then Chris Jones. But Todd Pinkston is entering the room. Here we go.
So what do you see from Carson going into this week?
Carson's going in just being confident. You can see his work ethic and the things that he's doing is very impressive.
How far ahead has Samaje come since he arrived, playbook-wise? Do you feel like he'll be ready for what could be 100% workload, whatever you want to use him?
Well, he's a smart vet. He's been around, he's been in the game for a long time, and he'll be ready to go. Guys prepare well.
What have you seen from Isaiah, just sort of the maybe conversations you've had with them? I mean, Andy talked yesterday about the fact he still wanted to walk up the field himself. What have you just seen mentally from him since this is?
Well, it's mental toughness. He's the guy that want to be out there regardless of what he had going on. And there's one thing about Isaiah is, he's going to bring the energy. He's going to go 100 miles to nothing every play, and that's something that, he's still going to bring once he going to start his PT.
You've only had the single look at Kareem. You get the sense that he still has a good amount of juice left and can ride some for you guys if it's not this week in the weeks to come.
Yeah, he has it. He has it. We just got to get him up to speed on what things that we do, and a lot of stuff that he's doing now is coming back to him. So once we get him up to speed, we'll go from there.
He hasn't played since January. Just how much time does it take to kind of get up the football shape and the speed that you need right now?
We'll see. We'll see. The first and foremost, just get him acclimated to things that we're doing now to get him up to speed, and we'll see what's going to happen next couple weeks.
Coach Reed wants his backs to be able to catch the ball, right? How is Carson's receiving skills? What do you think where they are now, where they were when you got them first, and maybe how they've developed to this point?
Well, just for all backs, they got to be able to catch the ball out the backfield, run different routes, and those not only Carson, every running back right now, they can catch the ball well out the backfield. So that's a good positive thing. They can alter their running style. So it helps a lot.
Last couple.
What was the conversation with Carson after the fumble on Sunday, and how does he learn from that?
Well, he's going to learn from it. He just know we got to protect the ball and move on from it. He can't get down on himself about it. And he's learning. It's a learning curve for him, and hopefully not to make the mistakes anymore.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
All right.
All right, there's Todd Pinkston, Carson Steele, ready to go. Samaje Perine, smart vet, ready to go. Kareem Hunt looks good. Got to get him up to speed. All the running backs can catch. Ready? Break. Andy Heck will be in next at the podium, offensive line coach, and we'll see if he tells us who's going to start at left tackle for the Chiefs.
So who do you think is playing first snap on the offensive line?
I don't, Andy, it's not about who's starting on Sunday, but that first drive, who do you expect to be out there lining up on the left side of Joe?
You know what? I don't care who's starting. Who plays the most snaps at left tackle for the Chiefs
on the first drive? Yeah. Oh, he'll be asked about what he saw from Kingsley, what he sees from Wanya, what they need to see from Kingsley. Even if he says, we still haven't discussed who's starting, or we're going to discuss that, we'll figure it out. Still, what do you need to see from him?
I don't believe it's not been discussed.
Yeah,
you know what? I'll go ahead and say
not discuss. Still haven't decided.
There we
right?
go.
It's definitely been discussed. Since he was taken off the field, it's been discussed, but still not decided. But what does he have to do to be the starter? What are you looking for? Is it between the ears? Because there ain't no way from Sunday to Sunday that he's going to be able to improve enough to where if he was not doing something physically on Sunday, that you think he's going to be able to do something physically on Sunday.
Well, part of it
against the
too
Falcons.
is no Trey Hendrickson.
True, but Judon
Matthew,
is
yeah.
no slouch. He's got the long sleeves, so I don't know why that matters, but he does. We'll see. He's a good player.
Did you hear why he wears those?
I actually don't know. I haven't heard the reason.
So on Sunday Night Football, they actually said that his mom was watching one game and he had a cut on his arm and it started bleeding and she didn't like it, so he always wears red sleeves so she can't see anything if it gets cut.
I thought you were going to say his mom was watching Sunday Night Football and couldn't pick him out, so now he wears sleeves, because I can always tell where Matthew Judon is.
Right.
Red sleeves. Where's he at? He's got those sleeves on, whether they're dark blue or with the Patriots, it was always red.
Yeah.
Always had
That's
the red
when it
sleeves.
started, apparently, yeah.
So I know you know where Judon's going to be. You don't have to guess. He's the one with the sleeves on, even inside, even with the controlled environment. Andy Heck is close to getting to the podium right now. Probably getting word from Brad G not to say anything about who's starting at left tackle on Sunday. So
Have we thought about asking Brad G who's starting at left tackle?
Yeah. No, then Andy Heck would have talked to Brad G to say, don't say anything. Here's Andy Heck.
You thought it was more mental errors than technique. Just wonder what your assessment was of the sequence that he had in the second half there.
Yeah, in the second half, he had a couple breakdowns in technique. He had one or two mental errors there. I think it was earlier in the game that those occurred. But, stuff that he was able to look at, we were able to make corrections in our meeting, and stuff he's working on this week.
What have the past few days been like with him in particular?
I thought he had a good day of work yesterday. He came out, addressed some of those coaching points that we hit in our meeting. I thought he worked his tail off.
Is this just some of the stuff you put a rookie at left tackle, that just kind of some of the growing pains you're going to have to endure?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think every rookie will go through those ups and downs. Let's not forget he was playing against an elite pass rusher there. And so it's a good lesson, good opportunity to learn and grow. By no means am I down on Kingsley. I've got a lot of faith in him.
Is there any benefit to giving him some time off, giving him a game off, and versus just continuing to push him out there to learn?
I would say, generally speaking, that is an effective tool that you can use with guys. We've done that in the past with other guys, whether you talk about Austin Ryder, even Larry, Duvernay Tardif. I mean, that can be an effective technique.
How much does your run blocking scheme change when you're shifting personnel when it comes to the running back?
I'd say not much. And one of the things that we try to do is we do a lot of different kinds of run schemes, inside zone, mid zone, gap schemes. And so we usually carry a mixture of all those things. And we ask our backs to learn them all. So that's a tall order. It's true, some backs are better at this than that. But really, we work hard at, hey, let's be good at all these things, because if this is drying up, let's go to this.
Andy, what have you seen from your run game in the past 2 weeks with as much as you guys have been able to run the ball?
Well, I was pleased with our efficiency in terms of, helping us move the chains on first and second down, being efficient there rather than, taking a negative play, particularly last week. And that usually comes down to execution. I thought the guys ran hard last week. Every week is a new challenge, so we got a different defensive scheme. This week it's going to be a challenge to run the ball against this outfit.
And with a wide variety of blocking scheme like you talked about there with the zones and everything, what's the benefit of that versus being focused on one part and being elite at that?
Well, one benefit would be you make defenses work on different things. I like making defenses work. They make me work. And then the other is, as I say, hey, whatever it is they've got going today, hey, I thought gap schemes were going to be good, but really what we need to be doing is stretching the ball or vice versa. So having something to go to, I've always been a believer in.
Last one, Jesse.
What do you think about Wanye when he went in there?
Yeah, I thought Wanye did a nice job. I mean, he also is a young player. And, he got a penalty with the hands to the face there, but I like that he went in, competed. I mean, we got two really talented, up-and-coming left tackles to work with there, which excites me.
Thanks, Coach.
Mm-hmm. All right, thanks.
All right, there's Andy Heck, offensive line coach. Couple of breakdowns in technique from Kingsley and mental errors. We're going to hear from Chris Jones in a few minutes. Let's take a timeout. We'll come back, and we'll get into some of the things we heard and hear from Chris Jones coming up next. Chris Jones, who is there at the podium right now. Here's Chris Jones.
Fire away for Chris.
Chris, you've seen a lot of double teams throughout your career. I just wondered, has it increased? You know, did the Bengals give you even more attention than they have been?
It's normal. Used to it. I expected it. So for me, I don't really count the double teams. We just make the most of it.
Chris, I know on X you talked about, you know, George being awarded half that sack, is there a certain level of fine dining that you guys have agreed upon for that?
Hey, listen. I'm trying my best not to get fined, but in my 9 years of playing, 3 days later, when my hand was clearly on him, I don't know who viewed it. I can't tell you how many eyes viewed this play 29, but who's counting? That we both touched him at the same time. I mean, so I look at it like this, you know. I look at it like this. We go back to last year. I rep Russell Wilson, bringing him down. George touched him as he was going down to give him a half, right? I don't report it. But if we that critical on sacks, I would have put me at 11 sacks last year. You know what I mean? But this year, a sack that I worked so hard to get half. We're going to pill it. We need to get more eyes on it. I think, you know, we're only human. We make mistakes. But I'm trusting in the league, in the NFL, and all the individuals that partake in the statistic-wise, and the FanDuel and all the fantasy players, that whoever won Sunday and lost yesterday, they'll be able to redeem that and get their money back. Because I'm on you guys' side.
How did you find out about this, that they took that sack away?
On Twitter. And honest to God, out of my 9 years of playing, I never seen it. I never seen it happen. It never happened to me. It was a first for me. I was traumatic and destroyed by it. Very emotional, as you can see on X. I don't want the dinner. I just want my half a sack, okay? To keep the dinner. I don't want the dinner. Just give me my half a sack back. I work for it. I'm not asking for anything that I didn't earn.
Chris, you'll have to get the half sack back. But what does it mean when you look up now and within range are names like Justin Houston, Neil Smith, and Tamba?
Well, listen, those are the guys that came in here and laid a foundation for me to look forward to and try to one day even get close to their names and stuff. So when you go from players like Tamba Ali, Justin Houston, most importantly, Derry Thomas, who's the all-time leader, I think, at 123, but who's counting? You know, you look up to those type of guys, man, because they set the foundation on what greatness should look like and what to be superior look like. So, you know, when my name is even mentioned at the bottom of that category, it's an honor, but it's still a lot of more work to do.
Chris, you mentioned being double teamed and Mike Dan and George Karlaftis, the development of those guys around you to take advantage, even though I know about the half sack and everything, but just to see those
disgusting.
guys.
It's disgusting.
But seeing those guys still, you know, take advantage of the fact that you're double, sometimes I think even triple teamed at one point. You know, how are you seeing those guys develop around you as first together?
We harp on it a lot as a group and as individuals. I think it's important that those guys are able to come out, whether it's games or whether it's just them beating their man off the line, that they're coming out and they're getting going early, because I'm used to it first and second quarter where I'm going to face a lot of double teams. I'm going to face a lot of hands at one time. And that's okay. As long as those guys are going, I'm able to, third and fourth quarter, offensive linemen get lazy. I'm still able to, like, be productive. But getting those guys going is very important to how successful we can be as a group.
Chris,
Go ahead and Sam, and we'll do the last
that
two.
two-play sequence before, you know, the one where you chase Burrow out of the pocket and he fumbles, but also the play before. Can you take me through just sniffing out the play when you saw him on them wanting to run that screen play?
Listen, it's not many times in my career I don't get blocked. So when there's a point in time, I know my pass rush move ain't that good. So it's tough for you not to block me. So I knew something had to be up. I seen the back going the same way as the center, and realized that anytime something like that happens, it's usually 99% a screen.
Chris, there's probably no one answer to this, but what does it take to be successful against double teams? I know you face it all the time, but what does it take to make something of that?
First off, it takes relentlessness. It takes when you get a half a sack that you get a half a sack. It takes the lead not taking a half a sack away from you. Oh.
Better walk off.
There you go, Chris Jones. Not happy about losing that half sack 3 days later from his game on Sunday, he will appeal. I didn't know you can appeal those things. He can appeal, which, by the way, it's
Poor Karloftis then.
Yeah, but it's a good point, though, when he's talking about DraftKings, fantasy-wise. I mean, if you had Chris Jones as at least a half sack.
To push.
That would push. You get your money back, but he lost the half sack. And
I love that. He goes, I'm doing it for y'all.
Doing it for y'all. That's right. He's doing it for us, for sure. They get ready for the Falcons coming up on Sunday night. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back, continue rolling. More Zone next. On Sports Radio 810 WHB, Jason Anderson with you, Sterling Holmes, Dylan Michaels. We got Sports or Leisure coming up at 1 o'clock. We heard from Dave Tobe, Steve Spagnuolo, Matt Nagy, Dave Merritt, Todd Pinkston, Andy Heck, and Chris Jones. A lot of talk with Steve Spagnuolo and Dave Merritt about Trent McDuffie. Trent McDuffie did a lot of traveling over the weekend with the Bengals wide receivers, and even talked about after the game, or no, it was yesterday when he was at the podium, talked about the thing that he has to work on the most right now is the communication, because everybody has to be on the same page when he's in different spots. So if he lines up on the left side and that wide receiver goes in motion and he follows them, well, now other guys are switching different zones and different areas they're supposed to be in. And that first fourth down conversion by the Bengals when they hit, I think it was Gesicki for the long pass. It went down the sideline, but it was over the middle. Justin Reed slipped and fell, and Gesicki caught the ball. That was one to where you saw Trent McDuffie on the right side of the line, goes in motion with Jamar Chase, and then he and Connor are, communicating and talking where they're supposed to be. It didn't affect Justin Reed and him,
Sure.
just clicking toes with somebody else and falling. That's just one of those things that happens in football. That's too bad. But so far this year in 2 games, he has been targeted 7 times, and receivers have 3 receptions for 26 yards on 7 targets for a 53 quarterback rating.
Dude, he is.
And he's been guarding Zay Flowers and Jamar Chase. So 7 targets, 3 receptions, 26 yards. One of those being the Cincinnati Bengals complaining and Jamar Chase complaining about a hip drop. Or excuse me, sorry. Cincinnati Bengals fans complaining about an obvious face mask. That Jamar Chase wasn't complaining about a face mask. You may hear that with sad fans coming up tomorrow. But anyway.
He's a legit top 5 corner in the NFL.
He's been awesome.
I mean,
been awesome.
For as many good corners that have played in Kansas City, if he keeps playing his entire career in Kansas City, he might go down as the best one.
Yeah.
And there have been some good
awesome
corners in KC.
Been some awesome ones.
He's just all facets.
Yep.
I mean, every single part of his game is solid. Even though he is a little smaller, he's a great tackler.
Yep.
He gets his nose in there. Those short arms have not really come to be a massive negative. I mean, that was the whole knock, was he got a little short arms. Okay?
Well, he's the tackling part, you're so right. I don't remember a time where Trent McDuffie got there and didn't bring the guy down. Like that 4th down with the Ravens last week, or 2 weeks ago today, that on that 4th down, that pass to Zay Flowers, Trent McDuffie there tackled him. If he doesn't tackle him, Zay Flowers gets away and it's a first down. But instead, Trent McDuffie got there, tackled him. It's what he does against Tyreek Hill in Germany. Gets there, hits him, strips the ball. Like that's what he does. I mean, he's as sure of a tackler as there is on this team. We'll take a timeout, come back, continue rolling more zone next. Phil. Press conference, a lot of them. We talked with Ken Swanson early in the show. You know, listen to that in the podcast. A lot of discussion about this Chiefs team getting ready for the Falcons, what he saw from the Bengals, and how do they adjust with the running back spot and different things that they can do along the way. We'll play some sports or leisure coming up next.
Leisure.
And it's presented by Johnny's Tavern, 913-381-0810. We'll give away $25 to Johnny's Tavern, playing a little sports or leisure. Royals. It is both. It's both. Royals off today. The Orioles and Twins both in action today.
Detroit's off today.
They are. Guardians are up 1-0 on the Twins right now. Orioles and Giants tied on the 4th. Sports or leisure comes up next. $25 to Johnny. 25 Johnnies will be given away.
To dollars?
To every dollar. You know what? I'll bet you Johnnies to dollars that you cannot jump off this balcony, land on your feet, and not break anything. Well,
I've thought about that way too much.
What, Johnnies to dollars or jumping off the balcony?
Jumping off that, and how would I? Well, you never know if
you
if
jump
it
into
comes-
this tree right here.
Well,
So you jump into, try to grab a branch, and then climb down. That's
what I thought,
That's
too.
the route. That's what you do. That's the play.
There's a couple trees, but that one over there on the left looks like it's gonna stick you.
Yeah, that thing.
It's gonna
no,
prick
no.
ya.
Yeah, that thing's gonna be. These are just regular leaves right over here. Just jump right into.
I just
that tree,
always
you're
have
fine.
wondered, could I do it?
Let's find out.
On Sports or Leisure.
Let's find out. Let's do it, man. Why wonder? Why be so curious for so long when you can just simply figure out the answer to it? You know what I mean? Let's go. Let's do this thing. 913-381-1010 is the phone number. Jason Anderson, Sterling Holmes, Dylan Michaels. Here's how you play. You give us a call. We give you a sports question. You give you a leisure question. You get them both right, you win. Either of them wrong, you lose. Question is out there available for someone to call in and request. We do not give out the right answer until it has been answered correctly or we have run out of time to play. Here are the categories that we have. I have one question left with Go UDFA Yourself. These are about undrafted free agents in Chiefs history. We have a few questions from Chiefs openers, and then we have an NFL category of questions of general NFL. Some are inspired by Chiefs players, but are, questions about just NFL, not specific Chiefs questions in this category. Leisure with Sterling.
We have one left in Potpourri. We have sports nicknames. So I will give you the nickname, and you tell me, who is that? Who is that?
Tigers.
Eldrick.
Oh, I thought it was like teams.
No. So if I say Tiger.
You would say
Eldrick.
Mr. Woods.
Yeah. And then we also have riddles. Riddles.
Okay. Riddles. Nicknames.
And one left.
In Potpourri?
In Potpourri.
All right. Riddles were fun last
Potpourri,
week.
actually.
Potpourri? Yeah, well, as you should. All right, NFL, go to UDFA Yourself and Chiefs openers. 913-381-1010. I'm good to go. Sterling, you ready to go?
Yes, I am.
Dylan?
Yep.
All right, very good. 913-381-1010 to the phone lines we go when we bring in James first off on Sports Radio 810 WHB. James, sports or leisure, what side do you want to start with first, sir?
Let's go with sports.
All right, go UDFA Yourself. Chiefs openers or just general NFL?
Let's go with Go UDF. The undrafted free agent.
No, that's fine. That's one way of putting it. All right. Undrafted out of North Texas. He originally signed as a tight end by the Cowboys. Didn't make it to final cutdown that preseason before he was released. Chiefs took a look and converted him to the offensive line. They sent him to NFL Europe to learn the trade of the offensive line. He came back a 6-time Pro Bowler, 2-time All-Pro, and a Walter Payton Man of the Year award. And now a Chiefs Hall of
Brian
Famer.
Waters.
Brian Waters is correct. That is right. Tight end for the Cowboys.
It's crazy.
And didn't
Did
make it
not
as a
know
tight end.
that.
Yeah, I didn't know that either. Chiefs says that let's take a look at him and
Chiefs
turn
have
him
had
into an
some
offensive
great
line.
UDFAs.
That's exactly right. And by the way, a lot of them ending up winning the Walter Payton Man of the Year award.
Good guys, too.
4 of these UDFAs that we've used in this category, I've used, and also a Walter Payton Man of the Year award.
Yeah.
On to leisure with Sterling.
Sports nicknames, riddles, and one left in potpourri.
I'll take nicknames because I don't know what the other one was.
All right. Well, then I'll give you an easy one. Let's start off with a win right here. Who is the Hick from French Lick?
Oh, man, that's...
Oh, Hick from French Lick. Oh man, you might have me on that.
No,
one.
come on. This
We'll see.
This is supposed to be the easier one.
Oh,
the
man.
Hick from French Lick. He played in the NBA.
Oh.
He flew away from French Lick.
Indiana. It's this is killing me. I'm just gonna throw out. I'm gonna throw out Shaq. I don't know.
Shaq is incorrect.
Not Shaq.
Thank you for playing, man. I appreciate it. That would be a great name if Shaq was the Hick from French Lick.
That would be, yeah.
That would be awesome.
That'd be great.
It was not Shaquille O'Neal. But it was Brian Waters. That was the undrafted free agent. Let's go to who's up next? Next, waiting the longest is Andrew. Next up on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Andrew, sports or leisure?
I'll try that leisure question.
Yeah.
Larry Bird?
It is Larry Bird.
We're looking for Akeem Olajuwon. That's what we're going with.
Larry Bird. I thought it flew away to the NBA was pretty good.
That.
Yeah, he's a
like
bird.
that. I mean, if you didn't know it was a bird, that's fine. But Chiefs openers and NFL category on the sports side. What are you thinking, sir?
Let's go Chiefs openers.
Chiefs openers for you. Okay. Two. You know what? Let's go with this one. There are 3 rookie running backs to gain 100 or more yards rushing in a season opener. Who are they? 3 times a rookie running back gained 100 yards rushing in his season opener, so his first game in the NFL for the Chiefs.
And for the Chiefs, okay. Kareem Hunt.
Kareem Hunt, that's right. That is one.
Oh, man. It's got to be older, doesn't it?
There's one older and there's one recent.
Okay.
I'll just say Kareem Hunt was in the middle.
Okay. Ooh, man.
Mm-hmm.
There's only 2 other options after Kareem Hunt, really.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. 50-50 shot.
Mm-hmm.
Pacheco?
It's not Pacheco.
Yeah.
Not Pacheco. Andrew, you're the man. Appreciate it, brother. Thank you for playing today, man. 913-381-0810. Avery is next up on Sports Radio 810. Avery, sports or leisure, what side do you want to start with?
You have a Clyde Edwards-Helaire question out there?
I do. That's one of them. Who's the other one?
Hunt.
Well, Kareem Hunt was one of them, but there are 3 rookie running backs to gain 100 or more yards rushing in a season opener for the Chiefs. Name them. He said Kareem Hunt.
Name all 3?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh,
All
you
3.
said 2.
I did not say 2.
For the last guy.
I absolutely did not say 2. Go back and listen.
I'd like to start with leisure.
No, I did not say 2.
I thought you said 2.
No, I said, so I was going to read the second
name
question.
One, you said
nope,
name
nope,
one.
Nope, I didn't. Let's go. We
All
can
right, I'll
go
start
back.
with leisure.
Dylan, I'm going to need you to find that audio. So I started off with question 2, and I said 2 players, and Chiefs like, you know what? No, let's do this one. There are 3 rookie running backs. And then I ended with name them. Sorry you weren't listening, Sterling. Okay.
It was a long question.
3 rookie running backs to gain 100 or more yards in a season opener. Name them. There's your question. Leisure with Sterling, apparently.
Yeah, I'll do nicknames.
Nicknames. I'll give you who skipped to my Lou?
Ray for Alston.
Yeah, Ray for Alston.
Nice job.
Yeah,
nice job.
it is.
All right, on the sports side, what would you like, sir? Would you like a Chiefs openers question or an NFL question?
I guess we'll just do an NFL question.
You know what? You can go UDFA yourself.
I do Brian Waters.
All right. Andy Reid has won at least 10 games in a season, 18 different times. 2 coaches are tied for the most double-digit win seasons in the history of the NFL. Both have 20 double-digit win seasons. Who are they?
I think Bill Belichick.
He is one of them for sure.
Maybe I'm thinking a guy named Don Shula might have done that. I don't know.
A guess or an answer?
You know what? Let's just Shula it.
Don Shula is correct. Don Shula and Bill Belichick with 20 different years of double-digit win seasons. Andy Reid, after the 2025 season, will have 20 different seasons of 10 or more wins. That is win number 1 for us today on Sports or Leisure with Avery. We will put you on hold, get your information. Congratulations, sir.
Hell yeah, brother.
Brother. I don't know why, but I like it. All right, let's go to Charles next up on Sports Radio 810. Charles, sports or leisure, what side would you like to start with?
Let's try some leisure.
All right, we have one left in potpourri. We have sports nicknames, and we have riddles.
Let's go potpourri.
Here we go.
You chose. I hope you like history.
Oh, it's a long time.
Sort of.
All right. If you know your history, what are the names of the Great Lakes?
That's not really history. That's more geography, but whatever.
Yeah, it's kind of, but it's like historical speaking.
It's not a history.
That's topography, Jason.
It's geography, GIS.
The names of the Great Lakes. Jason got 4 of the 5.
I did, and I was a little surprised that I didn't get all 5. I was annoyed.
Because you forgot the one that's the funny
Right,
sounding
the
one.
funny
That's the one
one.
I always think about.
Funny one.
Michigan, Superior, Erie, Ontario. Is that right?
Yeah, that's
You got
4.
One more. Yeah, one more.
And then Huron, I think.
Yeah.
Nice job. Yeah, Huron. Nice work. I forgot the funny.
Forgot
sound of
Huron. That's
Forgot
the funny
Huron.
one, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. On to the sports side, we've got Chiefs openers. We've got a question out there with that, but also fresh ones, and we have NFL, general NFL as a category. What are you thinking?
Do some general NFL.
All right, general NFL for you. Alvin Kamara had his 12th game with a rushing and receiving touchdown this past weekend. 12 games is the third most all-time. Name either, Sterling, either of the 2 players with more than Kamara's 12. So you only need one of these.
Rushing and receiving. 12
Rushing
or
and
more?
12 or more games in which they have both a rushing and receiving touchdown. Both the players in front of Kamara are tied with the most. They both have 15. Name either. 15 games, a rushing and a receiving touchdown in the same
In a
game.
career, right?
Yep, 15 games in their career. That's right. Yep.
Are they in the 2000s at all?
Yes, both of them.
Yeah.
In the 2000s. One really, really recent, and one, early turn of the century.
Yeah. That was what I was thinking about.
Yeah.
Mike Vrabel be one of them?
No, rushing and receiving touchdown in the same game. 15 of them.
Gosh.
A rushing touchdown and a receiving touchdown in the same game. 15 different games. One of the 2 running backs to do that. Throw a dart. What do you got? Early 2000s and recent. What do you got? What?
Mike Evans.
That is incorrect. Incorrect, Charles. Thank you for playing, man. I appreciate it. Okay, let's go to Dominique next up on Sports Radio 810. Sports or leisure? What side do you want to start with?
Let's do sports.
All right, we got general NFL, and we have some Chiefs openers. We do have a question out there available in Chiefs openers, and that question there about the running backs in general NFL.
Let me get that last question.
Yep, name either of the running backs with more than 12 games where they have both a rushing and receiving touchdown.
I'm going to go for a divisional rival in the AFC West.
Yep.
Nope.
Oh, it's not.
Nope.
No?
It's not LT? You're going LT, weren't you?
That's why I stopped you. That's why. But you
guessed
didn't
it,
say it,
so I
though.
guessed.
But you didn't say it, though. He didn't say
No, he
anything.
didn't say. I said it for you. I helped you there because I thought for sure it was LT as well.
Yeah, no, it was not LT. Nope.
Well, thanks for the heads up.
Early 2000s and very, very.
Is it a former AFC
very,
West team?
Very, very recent.
Is it a former AFC West team? Okay.
Nope.
I'm going to say
Very, very recent with one running back.
a touchdown and a reception in the same game.
Yep, receiving touchdown and a rushing touchdown in the same game.
And it has to be a running back.
Yep, both of these guys that have more than Alvin Kamara are running backs.
Running back.
Mhm.
Touchdown and receiving.
Yep. Receiving touchdown, rushing touchdown. One at the early turn of the century, one very, very, very,
Like very recent, you mean like 2023, 2022?
mean like he's still playing.
Okay.
One guy's still playing,
I'm
and I can
gonna
guarantee you, 15 ain't gonna be the final
I'm
number.
going
He
to
ends.
say the guy that was drafted the most in every single fantasy league and go Christian McCaffrey.
McCaffrey has
Yeah.
15. The other one is Marshall Faulk.
Ah, there you go.
Marshall Faulk and Christian McCaffrey have 15. Kamara has 12, but McCaffrey ain't going to end with 15.
Yeah,
so
I thought it was LT. I
Right,
thought it was
I got
Sean Alexander was
Not
my
Sean
second guess.
Alexander,
Yeah.
Nope, neither of those. But Marshall Faulk early 2000s. And then McCaffrey is just, that's the one to go with the current one. On to leisure with Sterling.
We have sports nicknames and we have riddles.
Oh, my brain can't handle a riddle right now. So let's go with the nickname.
All right. Who was the glove?
Oh, yeah.
Walter Payton, baby. No. Gary Payton.
Gary Payton. I almost spit up my drink.
I know.
You were so confident with Walter Payton.
Walter Payton.
I'm off the hook. Thank you,
Gary
Thank
Payton.
You, Gary. But, you know,
Gary Payton.
It was Gary Payton.
You
I'm
got
going to give it to him. I'm going to give it to him. Dominic, that was great, man. Walter Payton, baby. I mean, Gary Payton. Love it.
Oh, one more thing for y'all. You ready? One more thing for y'all. You ready?
Yep.
New news.
Thank you, man. Dominic, we'll put you on hold. Get your information. Congratulations, man. Appreciate it. There you go.
Oh, that was awesome.
I honestly, I was taking a drink because I'm like, oh, he's going to say Gary Payton. It's the glove. And Walter Payton, baby. That's like we got Mike Vrabel for rushing and receiving touchdowns, and we got Walter Payton for the glove. But at least he got to Gary.
Frank Zonka for 72 Dolphins.
Exactly.
Too,
that's
so.
right. Yeah. That's right. But at least he quickly changed him. Although you were,
I knew.
Yeah.
I love this. We had like a 2-second pause there, and he goes, "Wait, no, Gary Payton,
Gary Payton." I'm like, Sweetness was Sweetness also called the glove? I don't think so. Did he wear one glove? Was he Teddy two gloves? I think Teddy Bridgewater wear one glove? I don't know. All right, 913-381-0810. Let's go to Greg next up on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Greg, sports or leisure? What side do you want to start with, sir?
Hey, good afternoon. How about leisure? Those nicknames are fun.
All right, sports nicknames. We'll go with the human highlight reel.
Oh, jeez.
Wow.
The human highlight reel.
Human highlight.
Mm-hmm. I think the previous caller might have known.
Yeah, he would have known this one. Yeah, I almost gave him because it would have been funny.
Something in common.
Walter Payton.
No, but
I know.
The name though is interesting as to who just won. What the caller?
Human highlight reel played for Atlanta, which is actually NBA. NBA has the best nicknames. Let's
That's
get real
Dominique.
Yep.
Yeah, Dominique Wilkins. Yep.
There you go.
Yeah.
Thank
you for that.
That would have been great though if you gave that one to Dominic.
Dominic, that'd have been great. Yeah.
Previous caller. All right, on to the sports side. We've got Chiefs openers. So we'll have that question out there about the running backs and fresh ones, and then NFL questions that we have in NFL category.
Wow, I missed the missed question.
I'll just tell you. I'll tell you what it is, and then you can tell me if you know it or not. There are 3 rookie running backs to gain 100 or more yards rushing in a season opener for the Chiefs. We need to name all 3. Kareem Hunt and Clyde Edwards-Helaire have both been named, and we're just looking for the other one that has not been named. You can have that one, or fresh Chiefs opener, or fresh NFL.
I'm going to go with my man Charles. Give it to me.
It was not Jamal Charles. Not Jamal Charles, Greg.
Okay.
It was not. But you helped somebody along. Greg, I appreciate it, man. Thank you so much for playing. 913-381-0810. Let's take a timeout. We'll come back. That question's still out there. So we have had who have we had guessed there besides Kareem Hunt and Clyde Edwards-Helaire? We have Jamal. And then we had somebody else I can't remember. We'll take a timeout, come back, continue rolling. It was Pacheco. Jamal Charles and Pacheco were guessed, and those were both incorrect. The last one was the first one to do it for the Chiefs, so before Kareem. We'll take a timeout, come back, more Zone next. All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson, Sterling Holmes, Dylan Michaels heading up until 2 o'clock. Playing some sports or leisure. 913-381-810, $25. Johnny's Tavern on the line. Let's go to the phone lines and continue playing. We bring in Shane next up on Sports Radio 810. Shane, sports or leisure, what side do you want to start with?
Hi, guys. Can I start with leisure? I want to do nicknames.
All right, nicknames. We'll stick with the NBA. Who was Chocolate Thunder?
That's Daryl Dawkins.
That is Daryl Dawkins right there.
We would have accepted Walter Payton. So love you, Dominique. All right, on to the sports side, sir. We got Chiefs openers. Still that question out there about the running backs, but also fresh ones, and then the category of just general NFL.
I like that Chiefs question that's out there, please.
All right, who's the other running back, rookie running back? There are three of them to gain 100 or more yards rushing in a season opener. Kareem Hunt and Clyde Edwards-Helaire have been answered correctly. There's one more out there. The guesses have been Jamal Charles and Isaiah Pacheco. It was before Kareem Hunt. Who is it?
That's rest in peace. That's Joe Delaney.
It isn't.
Is that right?
It isn't. It isn't. Although rest in peace,
really?
Joe Delaney, but it is not Joe Delaney.
Half
It was
point?
after Joe Delaney. Does he get a half point? I don't know.
He
Can we
said
split
R.I.P., kind of like the...
Can we split the gift card in half? Can you do that?
You know, you split cash in half and it still works. Like if you,
It's
but like
exact-
if you
yes, that's
split
exactly
a
right.
gift card in half,
It's
can
100%.
you-
If you were to rip a $5 bill in half, it's worth $2.50 a piece.
Yeah.
Everybody knows this. You want to throw another dart, Shane? You've been waiting a long time.
I might as well. Was it? Okay, so you said Jamal's been guessed and Pacheco. Okay.
Yep.
So I'll go with
And-
my favorite running back. I'll just throw a dart. Probably of all time for the Chiefs is Christian Okoye.
It is the Nigerian nightmare. Well done. Okoye, Kareem Hunt, and Clyde Edwards-Helaire, 100 yards rushing their first game as a rookie. And that is a winner. Shane, we'll put you on hold. Congratulations, sir. Well done.
Thanks, guys. Thinking back, I should have known that off the bat, right?
Right.
He's my favorite.
Right out of the gates. There you
Jeez,
go. Just go
I
with your
forgot
favorite.
that.
You'd be mad if you didn't just say your favorite, right? Come on.
That's right. That's right. Thanks, guys.
Absolutely. There's a winner. 913-381-810. Okoye, Kareem Hunt, and Clyde Edwards-Helaire have had 100 yards rushing in a Chiefs season opener. All right, let's go to Sean next up on Sports Radio 810. Sean, sports or leisure, what side do you want to start with?
Hello, how you doing?
We are doing just fine, man. What side are you thinking, sports or leisure to get started?
I want to start with leisure.
All right, we have nicknames and riddles.
Let's do riddles.
All right, riddles. This is kind of fun. What loses its head in the morning but gets it back at night?
What was the first part of that? I missed that.
What loses its head in the morning but gets it back at night?
Wow. I'm not familiar with that riddle.
It loses its head in the morning when you wake up, but it gets it back at night when you go to sleep.
Yeah.
Oh, Dravetta's back there getting it. All right.
Whoa, hey,
we have the program producer just back there apparently sitting in on the riddles.
Damn it, Sterling.
I mean, right?
Come on. I didn't even do that.
What did I do?
Then I'm not repeating it.
What did I do?
What did I do? What did we do wrong? We did nothing wrong.
It has something to do with the bed. I'm thinking probably like.
All right. What do you say?
You're on the right track there. It does have something to do with the bed.
I guess it's gonna be like either like blanket or pillow. Let's go with pillow.
Yeah, it's
All
a
right, there you go. Nice
pillow.
job.
A
It is the
pillow
pillow.
loses its head in the morning, but gets it back at night. Unless you work the night shift, then it might be just
yeah,
different.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. It's if if you're if you're Bruce.
Sterling doesn't think of the common guy, the
right.
common man.
If you get up in the evening,
I'm
go to bed
thinking
in the
about
morning,
this show.
Backbone of this country. It's the night shift people.
go to bed feeling the same way. All right. We got sports side. We got NFL questions, and we have Chiefs openers.
Man, I had that last question.
Yeah. The Christian. Christian.
You gave a second chance.
I know.
I was so happy when he missed it. I was like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna get this.
All
right, let's do. You said general NFL and home opener.
Yeah, just Chiefs openers. Doesn't have to be a home opener, but general NFL and then Chiefs openers. Last week for this category of
Okay.
Chiefs openers.
Okay, Chiefs openers is cool. Let's do that.
All right. All right, let's go with this one. Since you knew that one, let's have some fun here. There are 2 running backs in Chiefs history to have multiple season openers that they rush for more than 100 yards. Who are they? So it doesn't have to be a rookie, but multiple season openers where they rush for at least 100 yards.
So I'm guessing that probably Okoye is probably one of the answers.
Okoye is one of them. And one more. This guy actually holds the record for most rush yards in a season opener for the Chiefs, too. Also holds the record for most rushing touchdowns in a season opener, too, in a different game.
Oh, man. I've got a few guys I'm thinking about.
What are you thinking? Running back, stud, still holds the Chiefs' record for most rushing yards in a season opener. In a different game, holds the Chiefs' record for touchdowns in a season opener.
Let's go Priest Holmes.
Priest Holmes is correct. That is correct. Priest Holmes.
At the buzzer, baby.
Priest Holmes. Yeah, you got it in right before the buzzer. Nice job. All right, we will put you on hold, get your information. Sean, congratulations. Well done.
Thank you, thank you.
Absolutely. 913-381-0810. We go to John next up on Sports Radio 810. John, sports or leisure, what side do you want to start with?
How you doing, guys? I'll start with leisure. Can I get a nickname, please?
Yes, you can get a nickname. Who was the refrigerator?
Oh, I love fullbacks that aren't fullbacks.
Yeah.
It's William Perry.
It is.
Eventually, it'll be Leo Chenal, right? I mean,
Eventually.
he's the icebox.
Yeah.
Eventually.
He's the icebox. Yeah, that's
the
what
icebox. Yeah.
All right, we got Chiefs openers and we have general NFL questions.
Oh man, I will take just a general NFL. Please.
Okay, very good. Let's go with this one. Aiden Hutchinson with 4.5 sacks in Week 2 over the weekend, dating back to Week 17 last year. He has 10.5 sacks in 4 games. There are only 3 players in the history, since they've been recording sacks, 1982, ever to have more than 10.5 sacks in a 4-game stretch. To have more than that. Name any of them. Any of the 3 that have had more than 10.5 sacks in a 4-game stretch. And I wouldn't have asked this if it was some just random, if there were random people here.
Yeah.
There's some local connections.
Okay. So, if there's some local connections, then maybe it's either a Chief or someone's from like Mizzou or KU or something like that, right?
You are on to 2 of the 3, and we just need 1.
Okay, but that's the question, isn't it? If I go Chiefs, then I kind of want to go with someone like it's not my answer, but I kind of want to go with someone like a Justin Houston maybe, or I'm just talking here, or maybe a Chris Jones, but that's kind of hard to do with DT, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Well, you're close when you said it's hard to do it DT.
Oh, well then maybe it's Derek Thomas.
Hey, Derek Thomas is correct. Nice job. Nice job. The guy that's got 7 sacks in 1 game, he found a way to get 4 sacks in the other 3. The
That's
other
pretty easy, yeah.
Yeah, the other local connection is not only from here but played at Mizzou. Alden Smith.
Yeah.
Alden Smith.
I should have known that. Yep. I grew up in the Bay Area when he was playing. So.
Yeah. So Alden Smith, Derek Thomas, and Richard Dent are the 3 players that had. They all had 11 sacks. They were tied with 11, and Aiden Hutchinson 10.5 in a 4-game stretch. Leisure with Sterling.
He already got it.
That's right.
Yeah, I got it.
Johnny's
I got
Tavern
the nickname.
Don't
with
make him
John.
do it again. Wow.
John, we will put you on hold and get your information and $25 to your tavern. Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Absolutely. 913-381-0810. Let's try to get a couple more contestants in here before we're done. Let's go to Matt. Next up on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Matt, sports or leisure, what side would you like to start with, sir?
Let's start with nickname, please.
All right, white chocolate.
Jason Williams.
It is Jason Williams.
Which one? The
I saw a
white
video.
one?
I saw a video of him today playing basketball. I go, I gotta throw some Jason Williams some love. Gotta get him in there.
There you go. On to the sports side, we have Chiefs openers and we have general NFL questions.
Oh, let's try Chiefs openers, please.
Chiefs openers, okay. Name 2 of the 3 quarterbacks in Chiefs history to have 4 passing touchdowns in a season opener. There have been 3 quarterbacks to have 4 passing touchdowns in a season opener. Name 2 of the 3.
I feel like Mahomes has to have done it. I'll go with Mahomes for 1.
Correct. Mahomes is one of them. He's the most recent one. Obviously. It'd be odd if he wasn't. How did that happen? But Patrick Mahomes and either of the other 2.
I want to say... Did he have to throw for them, you said?
Yeah, 4 passing touchdowns.
Okay.
Although this guy might have run for some too in his time with Kansas City, but this specifically is a passing touchdown question.
I'm thinking about that Chiefs Chargers game, the big comeback, but I feel like he ran for one of those. But what the heck? I'll try Alex Smith.
Alex Smith is correct. Nice job, Alex Smith, Patrick Mahomes, and the other one being Lenny the Cool, Len Dawson, Alex Smith, and Patrick Mahomes. So we just named the 3 of the 4 best quarterbacks in Chiefs history right there. Len Dawson, Alex Smith, Patrick Mahomes. That's a winner for Matt. We'll put you on hold and get your information as well. Congratulations, Matt.
Thanks, guys.
Look at that. 913-381-810. Should we take a break and then get one more contestant in here? Okay, we'll take a break and we'll come back. Ryan, we'll get you up on the other side of the break. More Zone next. Ryan, last contestant. See if we get a walk-off here. Ryan, sports or leisure, what side would you like to start with, sir?
Well, let's go with leisure.
All right, we got nicknames and riddles.
Names, please.
Nicknames. All right. We want it to be a walk-off, so I'm going to give you a guy who is a power hitter.
Oh, I didn't know this one.
Who was the big piece?
The big piece?
Piece. P-I-E-C-E. The big piece. He was a first baseman with a lot of power around mid 2000s, 2007, like 2012. Won a World Series.
I never knew this was his nickname. I never knew it was his nickname.
What was that?
Ryan Howard?
Yeah. It was Ryan Howard.
I did not know that was his nickname.
I have no idea he didn't know that.
I was clueless to that one. All right, on the sports side, we've got general NFL, and we have a couple of Chiefs opener questions left.
Go general NFL.
All right, let's go that one. All right, this is kind of fun. Marvin Harrison Jr. with a huge day on Sunday. A monstrous first quarter with 4 catches, 130 yards, and 2 touchdowns in the first quarter. Ryan, in a crazy coincidence, who's the last rookie to have at least 4 catches and multiple touchdowns in the first quarter of a game his rookie year? In a crazy coincidence.
I was going to say, you read that kind of interesting, so let's just go with Marvin Harrison Sr.
Marvin Harrison Sr. is the last one to do what Marvin Harrison Jr. did on Sunday.
Coincidence would be John Baldwin.
No. Ryan will put you on hold and get your information. Congratulations, sir. Well done.
Thank you.
Absolutely. I had to ask that one, but isn't that freaking nuts? Marvin Harrison Jr. as a rookie in the first quarter hadn't been done since Marvin Harrison Sr. did it as a rookie in the first quarter.
Badass.
That's pretty cool.
Like father, like son.
Absolutely. Yep. I really thought Marvin Harrison Jr.'s career was over after week 1, that he was a complete and total bust and wasn't going to do much after his 1 catch. And then it took the first quarter of the next week to show that he was a top 10 pick for a reason.
They do call you Jason Overreaction to Anderson for a reason.
Is that really? That was my nickname?
That,
wow,
yeah.
I didn't realize that. I didn't know that was my nickname. Huh. And then Malik Neighbors drops a big pass, although Neighbors has been very good. And he's got Daniel Jones throwing him the ball. Kyler Murray's been pretty badass, too, this year. But yeah, Marvin Harrison Sr., Marvin Harrison Jr. That's it. Any questions you did not get answers to?
Got them all, baby.
Awesome. Sren Petro, he's got you next as well, right here on 810.